Hello. Can you hear my beautiful dulcet tones now? Is that better? Looks like it. When in doubt, just turn it on and off again, guys. Just plug it in and out. So, hooray! Some of you might have been tuning in and just thought, oh yes, I just get to watch the data on its own. I don't get that commentary. Happy Saturday afternoon, guys. Got my afternoon cup of coffee. But I've been to the gym. I'm nice and refreshed. And yeah, it feels weird to have a race on a Saturday afternoon. It feels like I've got a free day tomorrow on Sunday. So yeah, I'm caffeining myself up for what is hopefully going to be a very, very interesting race. Qualifying was really close yesterday, really, when you think about it. I saw stats and comparisons of the past 3 years in regards to the difference between first place and second, and it was over 6 tenths like the last 3 to 4 years. Yesterday, the six tenths was the difference between first and ninth. So yeah, really close. Hopefully that transforms into the race as well, race pace, and yeah, we'll see. Ocon penalty. Do you know what? The way the Alpines are, I mean, I don't think anyone has any help. So any hope in regards to Alpines. So supposedly, guys, the Alpines will be starting from the pit lane. That is yet to be confirmed, but people were reporting that they was already working on the car in the garages after qualifying, which indicates that they're going to change setup and a number of elements. What have they got to lose? They're 19th and 20th. They can't go any further back, can they? So today, 22 seconds between first and second. You think, Eric? You think? I don't think so. I don't think it will be. I think we're in for a very close race. I think Ferrari has sorted out their tyres, their tyre management. We always know that they've been quick over a single lap, but I think they've done very well with their car. And Mercedes as well. Don't rule out George Russell. He is, of course, the lead Mercedes. Lewis, I think, is too far back to kind of really do anything. I think he needs a bit of help from a safety car or a crash in front of him, to be honest with you. Starting down in ninth, I think there's too much for him to do in front to have an opportunity of finishing on the podium. I think he truly needs a safety car, maybe goal hang with a later pit stop. But we do see it, so... Got some new sponsors. Well, yeah, I'm part of Veloce, Kaka, if you haven't been tuning in. Yeah, I'm part of Veloce. Vext is a business thing that they're doing, their end, in regards to buying into, almost treating it as like shares, in regards to how you can buy into the company and use those shares as a way of choosing kind of a direction, the way the company's going, like voting and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm with Veloce, and it's yeah, going to help move the channel forward. Hamilton might win in Singapore. We got a long way to go yet. We've got a long way to go. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have a long Bahrain Grand Prix in front of us, and we'll give it just a couple of more minutes, and we'll do, if you're new to this channel, guys, and this is your first time watching a race watch along with myself, thank you. Yeah, what we normally do is go live a bit earlier before the race, and Pirelli put out what the ideal strategies are for this race. So something for you guys to keep an eye out on throughout, and also the tyre allocations that the drivers have remaining, because they can only use certain tyres throughout, and of course some of them may have more soft tyres available to use than others, so depending on where they qualified and what they've used in practice as well. So yeah, we have a little bit of look at that, because if you're new to F1, strategy is a big factor in Formula One. It's not just about going fast, it's also about out-strategizing your other drivers, and yeah, sometimes you can make up a considerable amount of positions in the pit stop. What do I think of Charles versus Hamilton? I I think it's what, this season or next season? I think it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye out on. Yeah, Charles, super talented. And Hamilton, well, we know what Hamilton can do. So I think the thing is that we've seen Hamilton prove time and time again that he can do a bit of everything. Tyre management, he can go quick. Charles Leclerc, we know he can go quick, but sometimes he needs to just rein it in a little bit. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. F3 commentator Chris said, oh no. Right. So guys, so. Still can't load up the telemetry yet because it's too early. So what we're going to do, as I just said, we are going to have a look at the strategies for this race. So let's let's have a look at them. So, just going to close the chat box for a second. This is your strategies proposed by Pirelli, the tyre manufacturer of Formula One. And as you can see there, the ideal strategy is a two-stopper. Hallelujah, no one-stoppers, hopefully. So we have the C1. We're not quite at the hardest compound of tyre available. BAHRAIN is very high in degradation, for people that don't know. The C0 is the hardest compound of tyre that Pirelli offer. So we're on the C1, C2 and C3, and as we've seen in previous years, the soft and hard compound comes into play. The hard compound is interesting. It looks like that they're not really having too much issue in getting tyre temperature into those hard tyres. A few years ago they really struggled, so it didn't really come into play. But of course, a safety car can throw a spanner in the works here. What's interesting is that a free stopper is even proposed there as well, if you've got enough soft tyres available to use. So what's interesting with this, guys, take a mental picture, take a screenshot. Let's now go have a look and see exactly what tyre allocations drivers have. So really, the ideal strategy is a two-stopper with either a soft to hard, either using two hards or a soft, or using two sets of softs and a hard compound tyre. So let's have a look at what they have available to them. And here are your tyre allocations, guys. So this is what everyone has available to use. So, interestingly enough, no one has, Verstappen and Perez are the only two who have, in that top 10, are the only two drivers who have a set of brand new softs available to them. That is probably what they'll start the race on. I think everyone will start on a set of softs. But keep an eye out on Perez in particular, his start today, because he'll have a bit of extra grip off the line. Could make up a few positions with a brand new set of softs, compared to the likes of Russell, Hamilton, Leclerc, Sainz, those drivers, the two McLarens, those ahead of him who only have used. Interesting though that Russell, Hamilton, Leclerc, Sainz, Piastri, everyone else basically on the grid, barring the two Red Bulls, have only one set of softs, one set of hard compound tyres available to them. So we'll see how that plays out throughout. In years gone by, this has been a one-stop race. So yeah, I think the deg is just increasing at this circuit though, because they haven't changed the surface. So yeah, that's your tyre allocations, guys. Hopefully we see, yes, the fact Verstappen and Perez have only got one set of hards available to use, probably indicates they're going to go for that soft, hard, soft two-stopper. Whereas potentially the Mercedes and the others around them might go for that soft, hard compound tyre. So we'll see. We'll see how the deg is throughout the race. You never truly know until until you're in the race scenario and you're on full fuel and you see exactly what these cars do to the tyres. Thanks, Stephen. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome, everyone. Jens, have I seen you? I did see your Instagram message about, was it a Sky Sports one? Max needs free stoppers because he's quick. Yeah, well, we'll see. I think it's a lot closer. I still expect Verstappen to probably win this today. I do. I still think they're quite evidently the quickest car out there. But I don't think it's going to be plain sailing for him. I think there's the potential here for Red Bull to be put under pressure. Charles Leclerc can definitely do that. I think as well, what's key here, guys, is that in the past couple of years, no one has been able to... Verstappen's been able to get so far ahead that he's been able to pull himself out of the pit window of anyone behind. So he's been able to essentially build himself up a free pit stop. Whereas now, with the pack a lot closer, if qualifying is, of course, a benchmark to go by, then hopefully it's not going to be as simple as him being able to do whatever he likes. There's going to be more to it, and other teams might be able to use other drivers as kind of a block to try and hold him up. And yeah, that's what we want. We want a closer fight. Thanks to these pro sites like tyres, I feel like watching. Hey, brother, yeah, I'm good, thank you. Tomorrow, predictions for tomorrow. You're getting ahead. No, it's today. Today. Hey, Spud. Hope Leclerc will win. Ferrari have said they have more of a race car than a quick car. Yeah, I think that's the case for a lot of drivers. Hamilton especially, he confirmed yesterday, guys, that he has definitely set up the car for the race, not for qualifying. Probably too much towards the race than qualifying. He said where he went right, George went left. So they was running the same setup in FP2, and then in FP3 they changed some things. So he definitely sacrificed some pace over a single lap. The problem for him is that because the pack is a lot closer now, he's now 9th instead of being 2nd. If he was half a tenth down on Verstappen last year, he would have been 2nd place. That's how the pack has closed up this year already. So yeah, we'll see if Hamilton has an opportunity to fight his way through. But starting 9th, that's a lot of cars ahead of him to get through. So we'll see if he can pull off some magic. I still think he probably needs a safety car. Goal hang for one of those maybe. And I think a top 5 would be a great result for Hamilton in particular today. George Russell, of course, is already starting on the 2nd row in P3. But he has a much better opportunity at getting more out of this race. Yes, so the first 2 races, Veronica, have been brought forward a day. So that's because of Ramadan, and Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, of course, in the Middle East. They are countries that practice that faith. So to help accommodate with Ramadan being earlier this year, they've brought those forward. Next year, I believe Ramadan is even earlier because it just moves forward every year. And I believe Australia is rumoured to be taking the first race next year because of that. And then pushing the 2 Middle Eastern races at the start further back. So we'll see if that happens. It's kind of probably logical to do that anyway. Saturday again next weekend, yes. Hey, Carlo, good to see you. Yeah, welcome, everyone. Welcome. If you can hit that like button, much appreciated. Let's see if we can beat yesterday. We had over 200 likes and nearly 100 subscribers yesterday in the stream alone. So thank you very much, guys. We are fast approaching 18,000 subscribers. So, yeah, thank you very much for the support. What do I think of the Red Bull side pod design? I'm not too technical. It's definitely, of course, a side pod. It's not a no side pod, but I'm just going to change scene again, guys, because I think I might be able to set up the telemetry now. I mean, it's a slight evolution, isn't it, to what they've done last year, because they need to keep moving forward. It's like in any team sports, you can't. Hamilton had a little lockup down on his outlap, by the way, to the grid. So that's not ideal. Set this up. It's definitely an evolution. You can't sit still in sports. You have to keep progressing, keep developing. If you sit still, then you're going to get caught. It's the only way you stay at the top. So, okay. Here we are, guys. Here we are. So we have that there. How is everything for you guys? Can you see everything clearly? Can you see all of this? Can you see all of the information that is available? Let me know. Cool, cool. We are ready to go, guys. We are ready to go. We are ready to go. We have less than half an hour. Less than half an hour until the race starts. It's nice. I like being prepared. Sometimes this system isn't always available to set up this early on in the race, before a race. And it's very frustrating because you're like, is it going to work? So, track temperature, 25 degrees, guys. Air temperature, 18 degrees. Quite cool air temperature. Track temperature is a bit hotter than what it has been in some of the practice sessions we've seen. Wind is quite negligible. Only less than 2 miles an hour at the moment. Now, that is key because a lot of the guys, a lot of the drivers were getting caught out, it seems, into particularly turn 4. Yeah, they got caught out at turn 4, and that is pretty much where track limits is as well. So we'll see if there are any. I will keep an eye out, actually, and something that I can do on this is that I can keep out for track limits. Nothing at the moment. I'll do that to the side, and we will be able to see how many track limits people get, because I think there might be a fair few at Bahrain. We saw a couple of laps yesterday in qualifying get removed. I thought we'd see more, but we didn't. So all you hear is football charts. Oi, oi, oi. Yeah, my team's playing today in the Premier League. West Ham United. Come on, you Irons. We're playing Everton away from home, so yeah, I will be missing the football. But F1 is where my true passion's at, guys. That's where all your true passion is at, which is why we're here. So. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. So, I'm not going to run a poll on the chat, but let's see. Let me know in the chat, who do you think is going to be top 3? Give me your top 3 for today, and then maybe I'll do... Yeah, because I think with Verstappen starting on first, I feel like the poll will be a little bit pointless, because a lot of people will probably just go for Max. But let me know who you think, like we did in qualifying yesterday, who is going to be your top 3? Ocon will get track limits. I can probably guarantee you that as well, and I'll let you know if he does. Morning, Timo. Morning. Good to see ya. Nice to know that I'm the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning. Charles Lando, Charles, Max and Hamilton. Ooh, Charles, Max and Perez. Charles, Lando, Max. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been ruling out Perez. Perez still only was 3 tenths behind his teammate in qualifying there. Now, something that we mentioned at the end of the qualifying stream yesterday, guys, is that Max Verstappen got a very handy tow from Oscar Piastri at the start of his lap. So through turn 15, he basically got a nice tow from Oscar Piastri, and he gained, how much faster was he? He was like 6 or 7 kilometers an hour faster down into turn 1. And funnily enough, he was 2 tenths faster in the first sector, which is basically like from the start finish line to just before turn 5, I think it is, than everyone else. Charles Leclerc managed to claw that time back throughout the first sector in the rest of the track. And that was a big factor to why Max was in front and got pole position yesterday. There's an argument that he probably still would have got pole, but it would have been probably by only a couple of hundredths of a second. You're not talking tenths, because yeah, he had a massive I say massive, but it was an advantage down into turn 1 with that tow from Oscar Piastri. So if you wanted to see anyone else other than Max on pole position yesterday, you have kind of Oscar Piastri to thank for helping Max along a bit. Hey, Glad, good to see you. Hey, Rich, how long till lights out? On the hour. So wherever you are in the world, on the hour is when the race will start. The World Endurance Championship Qatar race and the Bahrain GP is also happening. Qatar race has been going since 1 AM your time. Oof. Yeah, I haven't. Who's winning that? I saw Porsche qualified first. Was that right? Porsche qualified first. Oh, Eden's given us the full grid, the full 20 lineup. You couldn't decide between Sainz or Perez for podium, though. Latifi and Mazepin, 21st and 22nd. Thankfully, they're no longer here. The Latifi. Actually, I don't even know what Latifi's doing now these days. What is he doing? Didn't he go to uni or something? He's gone to like Harvard, I saw. So, excellent. 11 PM your time. Oh, nice one. 11 PM your time. Where are you? 11 PM. Where is it 11 PM in the world? Anyone that far behind? Or ahead? Oh, are you ahead? Sorry, you're ahead, aren't you? You're ahead. You're like 8 hours ahead or 9 hours ahead, aren't you? There we go. It's Perth, West Australia. I don't know why I was thinking behind. I was like, we're 3 o'clock in the afternoon, UK time. Yeah, goats only formation lap. Yeah, so the race should finish, barring no red flags and safety cars. The race should finish probably about, well, normally on average, say, give it a couple of hours. So latest 1 o'clock your time. So Porsche, Peugeot, and Porsche. Oh, Peugeot doing all right, are they? Hey, Martin, good to see you, buddy. Welcome. Yes, if you're just tuning in, guys, welcome everyone to the first race of the year. Much appreciated yesterday. We had over 1,000 people join the Watchalong yesterday for qualifying. Absolutely smashed the PB from the Bahrain Grand Prix last year. A real close one. So let's have a rundown of your grid for today, guys. You can see it there, but we have Verstappen in P1, only 2 tenths ahead of Charles Leclerc yesterday. We have Leclerc, of course, in second, Russell in third, Sainz fourth, Perez fifth, Alonso sixth, Norris seventh, Piastri eighth. That top 7, if I remind myself, was only 3 tenths behind Max Verstappen. There was not a lot in it whatsoever between the drivers behind Max, and to be honest, yeah, just from Max in general, 2 tenths is not a lot at all. We have, of course, Hamilton, who has set the car up for the race. He confirmed that in post-qualifying interviews yesterday that he did not set the car up for qualifying for a single lap, and he's hoping for a much better race. However, 8 cars ahead of him to get that potential win, the first in 2 years, is a very, very tall order for him. So I think a top 5 would be a great result, considering where he's qualified. The biggest surprise yesterday, guys, is Nico Hülkenberg. Who thought? Come on, let's. Who thought that Hülkenberg was going to get out of Q1 yesterday, let alone get into Q3? They so didn't expect Hülkenberg to get into Q3 that he had no soft tyres available to use at the end of that quali session. Actually, I'm actually going to double check myself on that, because that's the wrong one, guys. Apologies. Hang on. Move that up. I wonder if they just decided to save a set of brand new softs. They did. So I take that back. They decided not to use a brand new set of softs in Q3 because they wanted to save them for the race. Intriguing there. So yeah, hopefully Hülkenberg can have a decent start. We saw it last year where they got into Q3 quite a few times, especially with Nico Hülkenberg, and then when it came to the race, they just fell back down the pack. I kind of expect that today, but we'll see. Yuki Tsunoda in the RB, however you'd like to refer to it, V-carb. In 11th, Lance Stroll. Wow. Finished qualifying 6 positions down from his teammate, Fernando Alonso. Yeah, I don't think we said enough about Stroll yesterday. I'm not going to repeat myself. Alex Albon in 13th, kind of where we expect that Williams to be, in the middle of Q2. Ricciardo in 14th. I thought we'd get a bit higher. I thought he would get a little bit higher. So we'll see if he's got better race pace and see if he can make his way up into the points. I hope so for my F1 fantasy team reasons. Magnussen, we just mentioned in 15th. And then we come to the bottom 5, which I think we expect Bottas and Zhou. I do think Zhou will finish last in the championship this year. I think Bottas, only due to his experience, will finish slightly higher. But I don't expect much of Stake F1 at the moment. And then Sargent, I mean, he's got the car underneath him, guys, isn't he? Sargent's got the car underneath him, but just not a great start for him. Not a great start. Could we, as a bold claim, could we see Williams replace Sargent? Let's say he has a year that he had last year. If he is performing the same way that he did last year by the middle of the year, do you think it's possible they'll replace him with someone? Maybe with another rookie, or try and get someone who's a bit more experienced into that car before the summer break or at the summer break, because they can't afford to have Sargent having another year like he did last year. It's just going to cost them too much money, not score any points, especially if they've got a car that can score points and regularly get into Q2 and be fighting for the points, you know. And then, well, the Alpines. What do I look at? Well, yeah. I can't. It's kind of nice seeing the Alpines down there. I don't think that's a nice team in general. I don't mind Ocon and Gasly, but yeah, they're just for a works team to be down in 19th and 20th. Wow, that is shocking, isn't it? That is absolutely shocking. Hulk good at quality. His car is a noob in the race. Yeah, I mean that was the case last year, but we'll see if they've made any improvements. I still expect to see the same as what we saw last year. But you can't deny it was a surprise to see Hulkenberg up in P10 yesterday. Multi-viewer, you can call it. It's a multi-viewer free app, Jens. You just need an F1 TV subscription. No need to apologise, Timo. No need to apologise. Vettel looking for a ride. Supposedly, there's been some rumours that he's maybe looking for a route back into F1. So I think you'd have to try and seek for... The only problem with that is that Vettel might want too much money. I think Vettel would definitely be... Of course, the driver wages are out of the cost cap. But you got to remember, Vettel was on £40 million a year. So he'd have to take a substantial pay cut to come back to Williams, that's for sure. If he wanted to drive for them, and that was his only route back in. He definitely wouldn't get the sort of money that he got previously at Ferrari and Aston Martin, that's for sure. Recently, there's some banter about Alpine at 1 PM saying something like if they knew how to set up Alpine. A pay cut, an injection of anti-boredom. Yes. Well, let's be honest, guys. It's still going to be... The amount of money that he would get paid to drive an F1 car is still... something's better than nothing, and even if it was like £5 million a year as an example, like wow, that's who would turn down £5 million a year to drive an F1 car? I definitely would, sure. Even though I'm definitely not fit enough to drive one, but I'd give it a go for £5 million. But drivers are going to the front of the grid for the national anthems now, so we have just less than 15 minutes until the race gets underway, guys. Not long at all. Not long at all. I'd be willing to pay 50 quid if they yeah, you want to pay them for it. Wouldn't even turn. No, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't. But yes, I'm really hoping that we get a good race today, guys. Really hoping we get a good race. So we know how tight as well. There's potential for incidents down into the first corner. We know how tight it is down into T1. We've seen crashes in T4 before. We saw Leclerc. Was it Leclerc and Verstappen came together and ended up in the barrier at T4 in years gone by? So that's not totally unheard of, seeing crashes down there. And we all know how. And we all know how T4 is as well, with that kind of off-camber corner running out wide. So yeah, let's see. Not long to go. Not long to go. Hey Violet, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Risk of rain 0%. Well, to be fair, you say that, Zero. You say that, Alex. Did you see the F2 testing? The F2 testing, it absolutely tipped it down. Like, the track was flooded. It was, yeah, like unheard of. They were running the wet tyres. Even then, it was kind of too much for them. Hey, Frank, good to see you. Yep, let's hope, buddy. Let's hope. Yeah, Zane Maloney was good. Yeah, F2 was... So I caught a bit of F3. And then F2 was really good. Yeah, F2 has got such a stacked out field. Great start by Zane Maloney. A bit better from the Prima drivers. Are they allowed to change the setup between the sprint race and the feature race, guys? Are they allowed to do that, or is it like fixed as well? I'm not sure if they're allowed. Are they allowed to do that or not? But a lot of those teams are still trying. It's a brand new car for this season, so they're able to. Of course, a lot of the teams are still trying to figure out the car in itself. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see some of the teams that we regularly see up the front of F2 back up there after a few races once they know. So don't rule anything out weather-wise. Yeah. Time race 8 to 10 hours. It is such a shame, really, that a lot of the racing now happens in the Middle East. Like we lost the World Endurance Championship at Silverstone, which is a real shame. Thankfully, I was able to get there and see the practice of that. The last year it was there, but yeah, it's a real shame we don't have one at Silverstone anymore. Aren't firmwares in effect for both races? Okay, yeah, I mean that kind of would make sense. Like if Zane, is it Zach Maloney? Zane Maloney. If he's like dialed in his setup and had a good sprint race, then he was definitely going to have a better opportunity at doing that or carrying that form over to the feature race, especially with such a new car that people are trying to figure out. Because they throw so much money to have the races there. Yeah, I mean, that is pretty much it, isn't it? It's a shame. It's a shame. But it was great news, guys, to hear earlier on a few weeks ago that Silverstone's been extended. I think everyone was a bit worried as Silverstone was in the last year of its contract that might not be renewed, but thankfully it has been. So we still have a race at in the UK, but not that I'll be going anytime soon because it's just too expensive for me to go. But the Silverstone is a great track, and we never really have a boring race at Silverstone. It always provides the goods. It's one of the few tracks that does so, and we want to keep those on the circuit. No more street tracks. No more street tracks. We've already got Madrid on its way, which is most likely going to make way for Barcelona. I don't think Barcelona is going to stay there, and they're going to keep two tracks in Spain. But yeah, we've got too many street circuits at the moment, guys. To do F1 at Daytona. If it puts bums on seats and they see the pound signs and how many zeros are on the end of it, then they probably would. They probably would. Aside from the money, are the tracks better there? What, in the Middle East? I would go as far to say that Bahrain is the best of the Middle East tracks that I'm aware of. I'm not a big fan of Qatar. I'm not a big fan of Saudi Arabia. I'm not a fan of Dubai. Abu Dhabi, sorry. Abu Dhabi is just boring to me. Have we ever had a good race at Abu Dhabi? A real intriguing, interesting one? Like, ignore 2021 because 2021 was just literally a last lap. The whole race before that was boring, let's be honest. Every race we've had has been boring at Abu Dhabi, and that's why I've always said we should go back to Brazil, Interlagos being the last race of the season, because that track always provides the goods. Always provides the goods. And iRacing F1 Canada looking better than the real one, Javier. Yeah. I don't, Nejan, and I'm okay. Thank you very much. Because they have desert to make any track they want. Yeah, that's true. But then that's the thing. But then the argument there, James, is that they have unlimited amounts of money. They have unlimited amounts of space, and they choose to create some of the tracks that they have. You know, like, you've got unlimited money, unlimited space, and you choose to create some of the tracks that you have. I mean, come on. How uninspiring. How uninspiring. Bahrain's best race for 2022. Yeah. Hey, Ben, good to see you, buddy. No worries, man. Good to see you, though, mate. Good to see you. I'd quite like Bahrain and iRacing. Yeah, I would too. I definitely would. Well, I'm not fussed about Qatar. I'm not fussed about Abu Dhabi. Where else have we been in the Middle East? I can't remember where else we've been. But yeah, there's a lot of the circuits that are available are just kind of uninspiring. I think Bahrain is by far the best. Thankfully, we're here for the first one. But even then, is Bahrain a great first race of the season? Probably better than Australia. What other track that's normally towards the front end would you like to see be the start of the season, guys? That's an interesting thought. Everyone always talks about the end of the season, but I don't know. Does Bahrain warrant its place at the start of the season, or do we think something else should be there in its place? Do I think France should return? I don't know. I've personally never been a fan of the circuits that France have had on the calendar. So I wasn't a fan of what was the one we was recently on it? I can't remember the name of it. It was just like concrete everywhere. I really can't remember the name of the circuit. Apologies, guys. But that track for me was once again uninspiring, and I'm not a fan of what's the one with the chicane? We do have it in iRacing. I can't remember the name of it. If you can remind me, guys. Magny-Cours, that's the one. Yes, Magny-Cours. I'm also not a real big fan of that one either. So, yeah. Paul Ricard, that's it, yeah. I mean, is there any other circuits in France that have held the F1, an F1 race? I think there's one other. I feel like they've had 3 circuits that have held F1. I think. But, I mean, look, Germany doesn't have a race. Germany doesn't. I mean, I think Germany has, like, regardless of whether they have a German team, a German driver on F1, they don't, like, you've got the Nürburgring and you've got Hockenheim, 2 of, like, the best racing circuits out there, and they're not on the calendar. I think that's disgraceful, to be honest with you guys. And Germany has a very, very big history of autosport, with motorsport in general, and just, like, the motor industry. So I think Germany is one, it should definitely have at least one track. When they did the alternating Hockenheim one year, then Nürburgring the next year, I think that was quite good. I personally prefer the Nürburgring. I think that's always provided quite good racing and some good races. But has F1 ever been to Le Mans? No. Don't think so. Not modern F1 anyway. Maybe in years gone by, back in the day, when it was completely different. But there have been 7 circuits in France to host F1. Really? Wow. I was kind of familiar with 3 of them, but Charles de Gaulle, is that the one? Okay. But yeah, right, guys, right. We are 3 and a bit minutes away until the race starts. Not long at all. Get your drinks in. Go have a toilet break, because we are only minutes away from that formation lap starting. And then that first race of 2024 getting underway. If you can hit the like button as well, over 100 of you in here at the moment. Hit the like button. Let's get 100 likes before the race even starts. That'd be great, guys. That'd be great. What's the best track on the calendar? British bias here, but Silverstone. I think that is genuinely a track that just never disappoints. It's always a circuit that just provides great racing, and we have. There's always like a safety car as well, and yeah, there's I think Silverstone personally is a favourite of mine. I always look forward to it on the calendar. You can watch the race live here. I am. This is live. Right, we have some tyre blankets come off the cars, guys. Here we go. Here we go. So interestingly enough, Verstappen and Perez are starting on a set of used soft tyres. I thought they would use their brand new set at the start, but they are not. They are using their used set of tyres. So they're holding on to the brand new set for later on in the race. So everyone on the front, everyone in the top 10 there, barring Nico Hülkenberg, who saved the brand new set of softs for from qualifying yesterday, is starting on a set of soft, used set of softs. So it's pretty much level playing field down into the first corner, guys. We have Danny Ricciardo there starting on a used set of softs as well in 14th. So be careful of Danny Ricciardo potentially losing some positions down into T1 or on the first couple of laps because of those around him on fresh rubber. But yes, interesting there, as expected. If you remember, guys, if you're just joining us, let's have a quick reminder of the strategy for today, or the strategies for today, suggested by Pirelli. If you have a look here behind the track map, you can see that pretty much it is soft and hard compound tyres that are going to be used today. The medium is suggested there for a potential two-stopper, but I don't think that will be the case because of how high the degradation is at Bahrain. So yeah, I think we're going to see probably these two strategies being used, either double hards or a single hard tyre with two sets of softs. So I think the top one is probably what Red Bull will be using, and the middle one, or the second one down, is what the remainder of the teams might be aiming for. So we will see. But yeah, interesting there, guys. And also, if we just what the lap we're looking at that Pirelli are suggesting for those soft compounds to come in. So we're looking at between lap 11 to 20, which is when guys will be making their first pit stops. So keep an eye on anyone pitting earlier than that. They'll most likely be using that to do an undercut on drivers and get into some clean air. But we are only really seconds away now, guys. Only seconds away until the formation lap gets underway. Woo! Use rubbers. Did I have something for track limits? I do. It's over to the side. It's over to the side. And I'll let you guys know when track limits are being enforced as well. We'll keep an eye out on that throughout the race. But it's now 3 o'clock, guys. It's now on the hour. And we have our formation lap. We have F1 cars moving and on their way round to grid up for the first race of the 2024 season, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Thank you for joining me today, guys. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, good to see you back. Good to see you back. The first of many this year. Remember to hit the like button if you can. Let's get over 100. We're over 50 likes already. Thank you. If we get to 100 before the race starts, that'd be amazing. What is my top 3? So I'm going to go, I think I said yesterday, I'm going to go bold, and I'm going to predict a Leclerc win from Verstappen. I think we're going to see a fight between Max and Leclerc today, and we'll see Carlos Sainz finish in 3rd. What the order will be behind that, I have absolutely no idea. But we are only, yes, a couple of minutes away until the Alpines at the back there, who are not starting from the pit lane. I thought they might start from the pit lane. That were the rumours. So clearly they're actually happy with what they've got on their car. I don't know how they can be, but quite evidently they're happy with what they've done with their setups. And yeah, they'll be gridding up at the back. Hey Tom, good to see you, buddy. Let's go. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Right. Will there be any incidents? Let's see. But yeah, pretty much level playing field off the start here, guys. No one using, other than Hülkenberg, using a brand new set of soft tyres in that top 10. So everyone is on a set of used. So we'll see how everyone launches down into the first corner. Sky is 2 minutes behind. Yeah, it always is. Mine's I kind of just use Sky here, guys, as a replay tool, to be honest with you, so that it being behind the live data here is great for me to be able to look back and see exactly what occurred in regards to incidents, overtakes, etc. And I have them in my ear, so I'll be able to keep you up to date with what information is being relayed from the pit wall as well. Thanks, Alex. Calling it now, Perez Alonso crash. Ocon a 20-second penalty. Right, here we are, guys. Max leading the way. So your grid, once again, is Verstappen in P1, Leclerc P2, Russell and Sainz make up the second row. We have Perez and Alonso lining up alongside together. Will we see another repeat of Brazil where they went across the line only inches away from each other? We have the two McLarens on the 7th and 8th, Hamilton in 9th lining up alongside Hulkenberg of all people. We then have the RB team of Tsunoda. We have Lance Stroll down there in 12th. Expect him to possibly make a strong start with a poor qualifying from him yesterday. We have Albon in the Williams in 13th with Daniel Ricciardo. Magnussen in the Haas in 15th. And then bringing up the rear, we have the two stake F1 drivers, Bottas and Zhou. Logan Sargent in what is a quick Williams. Expect him to make his way forward in this race. And then bringing up the rear are the two Alpines of Ocon on Gasly. As they line up, we are only seconds away. And as Gasly lines up here, lights will be on. Here we go. The Bahrain Grand Prix is about to start for 2024. Lights are on and it's away we go. And Verstappen seems to have got a good start there as they're heading down into the first corner. The McLarens there have made a good start. Seems to be a bit of a delay on the track map, unfortunately, with the first race of the season. But Leclerc there, Perez has made up a position down into... made up a couple of positions into P3. Danny Ricciardo's lost heavily, and there's a double yellow down in the first corner. What is going on with the track map there? There might have been some contact between some drivers. The big loss there is Lance Stroll, who is down 8 positions, and Nico Hulkenberg is down 8 positions as well. But Verstappen, importantly, keeps a hold of the lead into the first corner here. George Russell under attack from Perez. The top 9 are pretty much as they are, apart from Perez, who has got ahead of Carlos Sainz. But something has happened with Hulkenberg and Stroll, as there's a double yellow in the first corner. Nico Hulkenberg reporting that his front wing is damaged. Gasly reporting, look at my front wing as well, and the track has been cleared. I'll wait for the TV coverage to catch up to report to you exactly what happened. But as we, the big winners there at the start are the two Alpines and Logan Sargent. Guan Yu Zhou is up 4 positions as well. Tsunoda in 10th, Albon in 11th. But Verstappen and Leclerc already starting to form a gap from the drivers behind. So let's have a look at the start of this race and see exactly what happened down into T1. Bit of a wiggle from a lot of drivers there as they got off the line. Lots of sparks flying. A very, very tight T1. And who lost a front wing? And, oh, Lance Stroll got tagged from behind and got a bit of a tank slapper, which is why he is at the very back. And I think that might have been from Nico Hulkenberg. So we'll have a look at that at the end once they show an eventual replay. But come on, track map, sort yourself out, will you? Stop delaying. But you can see there, Nico Hulkenberg is coming into the pit lane. Once again, an absolute typical race from Hulkenberg, or race start from Hulkenberg. Qualified in P10 yesterday, now dead last as he comes to pit for what is no doubt a new front wing. So Verstappen starting to build up a gap, and importantly has increased that lead outside of the DRS zone of Charles Leclerc there, who is in P2. He's slightly ahead of Russell, but Russell is in that DRS zone. We'll have the DRS activated at the end of this lap, guys. Perez in P4, setting fastest first sector there. 3 tenths faster than anyone, and you can see that the top 4 or top 5 are starting to pull away from Fernando Alonso. Alonso is actually holding up the two McLarens and the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton there, all aboard the Alonso train at this moment in time. Lance Stroll trying to catch up to the back of Bottas after getting spun there, but you can see Hulkenberg going straight onto the hard compound tyre. It was definitely a coming together between Stroll and Hulkenberg. Look like, I think well, I'm not actually. I'm going to reserve myself, because knowing Stroll in the past, it's most likely Stroll's fault. But we'll see. We will see. But DRS now activated, guys, as you can see. And now, really, for Leclerc, this is where he will become vulnerable with the Mercedes and the Red Bull of Perez close behind. Track map seems to be having a little bit of issues there. Apologies, guys. A bit of a delay as they head down into the first corner. But you can see George Russell is on the attack with DRS open. Is he going to have enough to overtake and go around the outside of Charles Leclerc into turn 4? He does. Is he able to hold on to it? And the Mercedes of George Russell up into P2 with the assistance of DRS. And now is he going to be able to hold on to that position and chase down the Red Bull of Max Verstappen? We'll be able to see how quick that W15 is and how much improvements they've made since last year with a struggling Mercedes team. But, of course, George Russell needs to defend. Roles reversed now from him and Charles Leclerc, who will get DRS. As you can see, the light indicated there that he has DRS, but Leclerc is most likely going to have to worry about that charging Red Bull close behind. Everyone behind pretty much holding station. Doesn't seem to be any moves at the moment. Bit of a DRS train forming. Or actually, Norris, importantly, has got past Fernando Alonso. It's going to be key here for Piastri and Hamilton to do the same, because I think that Aston Martin is struggling in the early stages of this race. Contact Stroll, bloody Stroll. Was it Stroll? Was it Stroll who had the issue there? I was trying to see. I haven't seen anything back, but... Right, so importantly there, George Russell pulling out a bit of a gap there in the middle and last sector. Great move by George Russell, just seeing it on the TV. Within track limits, goes around the outside of Charles Leclerc. So a good move from George there, but how close is Charles? He will have DRS again as they head down into turn 4, but I think Charles is going to be more looking at his rear view mirrors at that of Perez. But no, they hold on to position down into turn 4. And this is going to allow Sainz as well to close up that gap. And Verstappen currently 2.3 seconds ahead of George Russell. George Russell was 3 tenths faster last time around. But in these early stages, Max, as we've seen so many times before in the last 2 years, building a gap. The Alpines overtook something. And Leclerc, Perez made a move on Leclerc down into turn 10 there with the very tight downhill left-hander, and Leclerc does regain the position. So Perez getting feisty and wants to get past this Ferrari. Of course, he is in arguably the quickest car as he was in the last 2 years. When he needs to make quick work of this Ferrari, it seems like Charles Leclerc, since he's been overtaken by George Russell, has just been a little bit out of shape, and he's been having to defend quite a bit. George Russell pulled out of Charles Leclerc's DRS now, and unfortunately for Charles, this is probably going to leave him a sitting duck as he heads down into T1. Perez will have the DRS with Carlos Sainz close behind. You can see that Leclerc will be able to get DRS. Oh, it seems to be closing the gap with just a toe enough of George Russell. And, well, for Leclerc, thankfully, he's still within the toe of George Russell, but it's all getting very, very close there. Leclerc needs this DRS, but Perez is very, very close as they're heading down into T4. They're about to show the replay of the race start. I want to see what happens, but I'm staying on board with Leclerc and Perez, and they hold station at the moment. Getting a very, very, very difficult for that lead car to pull away, unless your name is Max Verstappen. So let's have a look at the start here. And Hülkenberg just completely tags the back of Lance Stroll. So for once, it wasn't Lance Stroll's fault. Lance Stroll was minding his own business. He got a great start, launched ahead of Hülkenberg, and Hülkenberg just saw the door close entirely. Not Lance Stroll's fault. A typical T1 incident. And yeah, he gets tagged from behind. I'm a little bit surprised, actually, that Hülkenberg doesn't get a penalty for that, if I'm honest with you. Because it seems like a very, very big misjudgment down into T1. Maybe not. It's just a slight little concertina effect, a very slight misjudgment, but I don't know. I feel like he probably could have done more. I feel like sometimes people into turn 1 get a lot of leeway with the race start, but that does seem like something that there was never any space there. So yeah, unfortunately, that did spin. Hülkenberg has ruined his race. all because of himself. So we have some track violations, guys. Lando Norris is the first driver to get a track limits violation there. So keep an eye out on that, as his teammate Piastri has got ahead of Alonso, and now it is Hamilton to attack Alonso. Hamilton, who has set the car up for the race, needs to make quick work of Alonso if he can to make the most of this race setup. Alonso struggling 2 positions down in the top 10 at the moment, so the Aston Martin not going too well, but what is helping Alonso is that he's still within that DRS of Piastri. So Verstappen, while the 4 behind him of Russell, Leclerc, Perez and Sainz are fighting, is just continuing to build his lead of 4.5 seconds from that of George Russell. So he's clearly in control of this race at the moment, while the others are kind of driving in their mirrors. So we will see. So George Russell is being reported for track limits. So we'll see if that gets penalised at all. I assume the FIA is still using cameras with the stewards to ensure that the track limits are being enforced. Hey Ram, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Is the RB20 fastest in the straight, faster in the straights than the RB19? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know that information, unfortunately. Right, so George Russell does seem to be getting a bit of a gap down in the last sector. The Mercedes does seem to be very strong in that last sector, and he does seem to be pulling away. But then Leclerc is able to just close up that gap with the assistance of DRS and the toe, and it's not giving Russell the breathing space that he needs to kind of focus on just Max ahead. Still very early stages of this race though, guys. Very, very close. Perez can't seem to get past Leclerc at the moment with the nullification of the DRS. But is Hamilton here going to be able to get past Alonso? Alonso still has the DRS from Oscar Piastri and is actually slightly closer to Oscar than Hamilton is to Alonso. So that is also saving the Aston Martin of Alonso at the moment from being overtaken by Lewis Hamilton. But let's have a little look further down the back of the grid, guys. So Yuki Tsunoda is in 10th at the moment, trying to close up that gap of Lewis Hamilton, who is fighting with Alonso. The RB, I think, is going to be sneaky quick here this year. So Albon in P11, up 2 positions. Magnussen is in P12, not doing too bad for him, currently trying to hold off. Oh, hang on a second, here we go. We've got Perez and Leclerc going side by side as they head down into T11. DRS both open. Who is going to be able to hold it round T11? They're side by side, and it seems that Perez is able to hold the position and stay ahead of Leclerc. He got the move done finally, and now Perez will have his sights set on George Russell, and it could not be long until we see a 1-2 of Verstappen and Perez, guys. Whoever suggested Perez was potentially going to finish in P2 here today, you are right on the money. But at the moment, yes, Perez. But that's given George Russell just a bit of breathing space that he required, because Perez now doesn't have DRS assistance from George Russell. Will Leclerc be able to come back at him with his teammate close behind, who has nothing to lose this year in his last year at Ferrari, pretty much being dumped from the team? And, well, Leclerc is only a couple of attempts behind. Once again, Perez not close enough to get that DRS from George Russell. Is he going to be able to hold him off? I'm not sure if Leclerc is close enough to Perez here to have a lunge at all up the inside or round the outside, and he doesn't. So Perez, you would think now possibly maybe has the pace to catch up with George Russell and just pull away from Charles Leclerc. But let's see what Perez can do ahead of that Ferrari. But yeah, just watching it back on TV, and Perez just got the great drive out of turn 10. And with DRS, just drove up the inside of Charles Leclerc. But this has given George Russell the breathing space that he wanted. Let's see if he's going to be able to pull away from Perez and potentially close the gap on Max Verstappen. We will see, as Hamilton still stuck behind Alonso there in P8. We are 8 laps into this race, guys. Remember, we should start seeing soft runners, which everyone is, hit potentially between laps 10 and 20. That is the pit window you're keeping an eye out for. Charles Leclerc is the second driver to get a track limits violation. So 1 apiece for Norris and Leclerc at the moment. All we see in Singapore, because Perez ain't beating Max, and we can only hope for Singapore. But yes, at the moment, Max Verstappen. So if we have a look at lap times, last time around, Max did a 37.0. George Russell did a 37.8, as well as Perez. Leclerc in the 38, Sainz in the 38, as well as the McLaren. So yes, quite comfortably at the moment, Max, as we're so often saying, is in a league of his own. He is 8 tenths a lap quicker at the moment than the rest of the field. Let's see if that happens. So Hamilton a lot closer to Alonso now, who doesn't have DRS from Oscar Piastri. This could be the moment where Hamilton gets a drive on Alonso and has an opportunity, an overtake. I don't think he's close enough, and he's not. But importantly for Hamilton is that he's removed Alonso. Oh, he's got the drive out of turn 4. They're going side by side, and Hamilton just has to back off as they head into the S's of the middle sector. But importantly for Hamilton, he's removed the DRS assistance for Alonso on Piastri, and to be honest, it should be next time around as they head down into turn 1. Hamilton should be able to get the move done on Alonso without that DRS. So Leclerc and Sainz currently close together, and Leclerc is just dropping back slightly from that of Perez. So maybe the used tyres not doing well for the Ferraris, and we'll see if they're the first to pit off of those soft tyres and get onto the hard compound tyres, which they do have 2 available to them to use. Thank you, Zed. Thank you. But yeah, no, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone who's tuning in. We've got over 400 of you in the stream right now. Much appreciated. If you could get this stream to over 100 likes, that would be highly appreciated, guys. So just having a look back at how close Sainz and Leclerc are. They're very, very close at the moment. Here goes Lewis Hamilton. He has got the drive on Fernando Alonso. DRS open. Is he going to be able to hold it on the brakes as they head down into T1? A slight little delay there on the track map. Apologies. And he does. But that will mean that Fernando Alonso will have DRS to come straight back at Lewis Hamilton down into turn 4. We've seen this all so often at Bahrain. Hamilton's going to have to defend here. And I think Alonso just happily sits behind Lewis, knowing that he doesn't want to go side by side, and this is very still early on in the race to be fighting with a Mercedes, but quite evident it's quicker. And there's contact. There's a yellow flag. Who's dropping back? Logan Sargent. Logan Sargent brings out the yellow flag in turn 4. Has he lost control of that car? Is he in the barrier? Is this a potential safety car? We will see, but at the moment Logan Sargent is stationary in turn 4. What has occurred? I don't know. I'm waiting for the TV coverage to catch up. But at the moment, Logan Sargent is not moving, which to me indicates that he is in the barrier and that car is stationary. Surely a safety car has got to be brought out if they are stationary for that long. What has happened here? Has he had contact? Has he lost it on his own? Still a yellow flag. Sargent is off at turn 4. Nico Hulkenberg is being reported on the radio by his engineer. And he has got moving again. He has got moving. Logan Sargent has got moving, which doesn't bring out the safety car. So, was it just a spin? Was it just a spin, or was it something else entirely? I'm just waiting for the TV coverage to catch up, but wow, not a great start from Logan Sargent as Carlos Sainz has switched positions with Charles Leclerc. Maybe that's team orders. Maybe Sainz just has more in the bag at the moment. So I'm just watching. We've just seen Logan Sargent go off at the turn 4. And it looks like he just had a massive, massive lockup. What happened there? Logan Sargent has just gone on his own. Has he had a brake failure? As Ocon is the first to pit. Lap 10. I think the Williams there, I don't think that's actually an issue from Logan Sargent. I think they've had a mechanical issue there, and that's caused him to lock up, because it looked like he was on his own. And the car just went straight on it wasn't even able to turn into the corner. So that seems to be a real issue for him. So see, look, he's trudging back, and I think this is going to be the first retirement of 2024, guys. And Logan Sargent is going to be back in the pits and retire from this race, because if that is a cooling issue, as you guys are reporting, he's not going to be able to continue for safety reasons. But it did look like that Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc were fighting. So Perez close onto the back of Russell at the moment. quite clearly Verstappen in a league of his own, comfortably lapping in the level 37s, whereas everyone else is in the high 37s. And well, yes, because of that, George Russell and Charles Leclerc have decided to pit lap 12 to get off of those soft tyres that they're quite evidently struggling with and just not able to cope with Max's pace at the moment. He did at that time have a 7-second lead on second place George Russell. But let's have a check and see where they're going to come out. I think George Russell, is he going to get ahead of Bottas down into turn 1? He is. So seems to be solid stops from Russell and Leclerc, Ferrari. But Bottas will have DRS, and we'll see if he decides to have a little nibble at his former team and the driver who replaced him. He's definitely going to, and he doesn't. Ooh, so Magnussen is out of the pits as well. Let's see who else let's see if the Red Bull of Max Verstappen responds. Will they respond or will they continue? Because he does have good pace on those softs at the moment. Perez now has clean air in front of him. Carlos Sainz does seem to be slightly quicker than his teammate and Perez last time around. Sainz doing much better on those used softs than his teammate was. So let's see if anyone reacts. So Logan Sargent is back out. Interestingly enough. But Ferrari's pit stop didn't look terrible. Looked okay. So Perez has responded. To Leclerc, and he is coming into the pits. No one else is responding, apart from Piastri. Piastri is coming into the pits. Hamilton also into the pits as well. So most definitely this is a two-stop race, guys. I think this is definitely a two-stop race. Cannot see those drivers taking the hard tyre 45 laps. At least I hope they can't. So someone may try, but I think they will be completely dead tyres at the end of the race. Will Max do another Austria? I don't know. Is temperature an issue on the track for the brakes or just for the tyres? So it's not so much temperature for the tyres, it's the high deg because of the surface, and because there's some quite high loaded corners. So it's degradation, not tyre temperatures that you really have to worry about. It really, to be honest, the brakes shouldn't be an issue. There are some obviously high braking zones here, high loaded braking zones, but it really, I mean, you've never really seen drivers or cars have issues with their brakes at this circuit compared to some other circuits, because there's a lot of natural cooling anyway, because Bahrain can be quite windy. I mean, it's not hot temperatures, it's only 18-degree air temperature. So yeah, that's definitely a mechanical issue from the Williams team, it seems. I think the Ferrari may be doing soft, hard. Well, the strategy does indicate that the middle stint is going to be a hard compound tyre. Now, how you finish is dependent on how, obviously, you do in that middle stint. Some people have really suggested it would be there's a two-stopper of a soft, hard, or a soft, hard. So we'll see. But supposedly, the hard compound tyre is working well tonight, is what I've just heard on Sky. I haven't been keeping an eye out on the times on people who have gone out onto the hard compound tyre, so we will see. But Verstappen comfortably lapping, so consistent, the 37.0. But Russell under attack, it seems, from Perez there, who now has DRS. Only a couple attempts. Will Perez be able to regain this P2 that George Russell gifted him as he came into the pit lane? And he hasn't been... Oh, he has. Actually, they're side by side as they head down into turn 5, and Perez gets ahead of George Russell and is now net P2 after a great overtake, it seems, there, possibly around the outside, I assume, of T4. But will he be able to hold on to it with Leclerc close behind George Russell? Let's see as they head down into or coming up behind the lap car of Logan Sargent, and the drivers ahead of him are for position. So Lewis Hamilton has closed up the gap slightly on Oscar Piastri. I wonder if the McLaren had a slightly slower stop than that of Lewis Hamilton. Norris is obviously on his out lap as well, but yes, we'll see if Hamilton will be able to close up the gap and overtake those McLarens who are currently in P9, 10, and Lewis Hamilton in 11th. Who is anyone yet to stop? So they've got only drivers yet to stop are Verstappen, Sainz, who is now into the pit lane, and Alonso in third. But Hamilton, Verstappen, once again, a 37.0. Tremendous on his tyres. The pace he's got on those used softs is impressive. Quicker than anyone out there at the moment, pretty much. And he's just going to extend that stint. It's only going to benefit him in the long run in regards to his strategy. So Sergio Perez had a great overtake there on George Russell. We did a switcheroo, did a nice cutback. But Leclerc is slightly ahead of Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz, who did overtake his teammate out on track, is now behind him. Woo! That's bro, not pit. Well, he's just going to keep going. He's just going to keep going. Perez there with a 35.6. So tremendously quick on those hard compound tyres there. But just watching the Perez overtake on George Russell, and he did a great cutback on George Russell there. Great cutback. Very aggressive from Perez. Not the Perez that we're used to seeing. So Perez currently in net P2, going very quick at the moment. We'll see if Verstappen, because of that lap time, responds. Let's see where he comes out. I think he has, as we predicted, or as we didn't want Max to have 3 pit stops. And that's pretty much what Max has got at the moment. He's just building himself a 3 pit stop. So yeah, unless Perez, at the moment, it's him against his teammate. Gap between P1 and P2 is insane, but that's because Verstappen hasn't pitted yet. But Verstappen's gap to George Russell when Russell came into the pits was 7 seconds. So I do expect that that's probably been extended. But let's have a look at lap times as they come across the finish line here and see what lap times they've been able to do in some clean air. So Perez, a 36.8, a 36.9 from George Russell. Leclerc, a 36.8. Sainz was an outlap, but fastest in the last sector. And that's the thing. They're only doing 36.9s, but Verstappen's still doing 37.0s on guys who are on brand new hard compound tyres. So it's just crazy. Just crazy. Is there a chance that Verstappen will not win? There's always a chance. A safety car, a mechanical issue. But I think on pace alone, I think Max has this comfortably already very early on in this race. Does seem to be just very supreme at the moment. Let's see if he decides to come in and pit. Kaka, thank you for re-subbing, buddy. 16 months, much appreciated. Renewing your membership. Much appreciated, buddy. Right, so has Lewis Hamilton been able to close up the gap on Piastri and Norris? No. It does seem like that Lewis set a bit of a slower lap time last time around than that of Piastri and Norris. Alonso has rejoined quite considerably behind Hamilton, and unfortunately for him, he is behind Guan Yu Zhou as well, and that is for position. So Zhou is not going to give that up easy. Although Alonso should make quick work of him, but that's not ideal for the Aston Martin there, coming out behind an already pitted Guan Yu Zhou, who is up in P10, up in P9 on merit, guys, on merit. I did not expect that. So Carlos Sainz on the back of his teammates. DRS open. Leclerc has it open as well, but will Sainz go for a move? I don't think he will just yet. Of course, we know Sainz doesn't have anything to lose this year. Or maybe he does. They go side by side into T1. They're going side by side into T1. And Sainz has got ahead of Leclerc into T1. And who has DRS there? They've both got DRS as they're going to head down into T4. This is not what Ferrari needs. But this is what happens when you tell one of your drivers you are not in that team for next year. They do not give a fuck. You don't get that on Sky. But yes, wow. Sainz there taking no prisoners with his teammate. And I think I have predicted we're going to see a very bolshy Sainz here this year. Sainz is just chomping at the bit. And potentially could maybe... I mean, he seems to have the pace over his teammate at the moment. Let's see if he's going to... I think he'll make short work of George Russell. And then we'll see if he can take it to Perez. So Verstappen's still out there at the moment. He's done 17 laps on these tyres, and he is now, well, 18 laps pretty much, and he is now into the pits. A 30-second lead over his teammate. I believe it's about 23 to 25 seconds pit stop lost time in this circuit. So he is going to come out comfortably ahead. Remember, it was 7 seconds was the time he had compared to George Russell when he came out of the pit lane. Has he still got that advantage over his teammate as he heads down into T1? Where's the interval? No, 6.3 seconds, but that 5.8 seconds, but it's still comfortable. Of course, Verstappen is on 5-lap newer tyres than that of Sergio, his teammate, so I don't think it is going to be really too much to worry about for Max with Perez. But the one he needs to worry about, I think, is a charging Carlos Sainz, as he's got past George Russell before they head into turn 4 in 2 laps. Carlos Sainz has made short work of Charles Leclerc and George Russell. And George Russell is going to try and come back at Carlos, but I think Carlos is just charging at the moment. He is so in tune with that Ferrari, more so than Charles Leclerc is. Could Ferrari be letting the wrong Ferrari driver go for next year? He's definitely a man to prove. So now he has the Red Bull in his sights. Will George Russell be able to come back at the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz? But I don't think so. Carlos already pulling out a little bit of a gap on that of George Russell. Look, maybe there's some strategy here that Carlos Sainz is on a completely different strategy. He might be going hard rather than hard soft. So he's not too worried about his tyre life in this middle stint compared to those other drivers who might be thinking more about tyre management and are on a different strategy, and they need to take these hard compounds longer so that they can go onto the soft tyre at the end. That is definitely a factor. The way Sainz is driving at the moment probably indicates that he's going to be on he's going to be using the hard compound tyre again, so we'll see. When Mercedes were good, RB were threatening to leave F1. Every team should do this if FIA don't change. No, I disagree, Vlad. I disagree. Look, end of the day, it's an engineering game as well. It's not just about who's fastest on track, but it's also about who makes the fastest car. It's an engineering game. It's a team game. So yeah. It is going to be closer. It is going to be closer throughout the season. So yeah, we'll see how this race pans out. This is the first of 24 races this year. So I think it's definitely going to be closer throughout the season. Lewis is washed. No, he's not washed. He's not washed. But he's definitely, I think his balls is set up here this weekend. Right, let's have a run through the grid at the moment, guys, as it stands, as everyone has now made a pit stop. And this is a 2-stop race today. So we currently have Verstappen in P1, who has just pitted onto his brand new set of hard tyres. He was leading 6 seconds from his teammate Perez, who is up 3 positions from P5 into P2. We have a charging Carlos Sainz in P3 at the moment, who is up 1 position. He has overtaken his teammate twice out on circuit. He is taking no prisoners. He is definitely not playing the team game this season, it seems. George Russell in 4th place, down a position, who is currently under attack from Charles Leclerc, who is just outside the DRS zone, but will probably gain it with the toe down into turn 1 and have an opportunity at turn 4. Max Verstappen there with a 35.2, the fastest lap of the race on a brand new set of soft hard compound tyres. We have the 2 McLarens in 6th and 7th upper position. Norris going quite nicely, as is Piastri there, just biding their time. This would be a great result for them personally, because Bahrain has always been a very, very poor performing track for them. Be a good start to the season. Lewis in P8, most likely just, well, we know he was out of position in regards to qualifying, set up for the race, and at the moment, well, we'll see. We'll see whether that strategy he's got at the moment, maybe he's just looking after his tyres, but at the moment he's not really able to close the gap on the McLarens, but he is faster comfortably than that of Alonso, who is in P9. We have Guan Yu Zhou, who is the biggest gainer thus far. He is up 7 positions in P10. I did not expect to see the stake F1 driver in P10 on merit alone at this stage of the race. Tsunoda in 11th, where he started. Lance Stroll, who unfortunately got a great start down into T1, but got tagged by Hulkenberg and got turned around due to no fault of his own. For once, it wasn't Lance Stroll's fault. Is now back up to where he started in P12. Magnussen 13th. Albon down a position in 14th. We have Ocon, who is up 4 positions ahead of Danny Ricciardo, who does seem to be struggling a little bit, it seems, in this race. Tsunoda definitely better than him at the moment. And then we have Hulkenberg, who, of course, had to pit for a front wing because he tagged Lance Stroll at the start in 17th, Bottas in 18th, Gasly in 19th, and Sargent, who had a big mechanical issue with... it seems the brakes were getting too hot and he went off at T4. We thought he might bring out the safety car, but was able to get going again. He's currently a lap down. And that is currently your grid at 21 laps into this race as Max just continues to set fastest laps and pull out a gap on his teammate, who is now 7.5 seconds behind. But Carlos Sainz was 2 tenths quicker than that of Perez last time around. We'll see if Perez is... if Sainz is able to continually pull that gap on Perez. Let's see. Bottas isn't the same since he went to Alpha. No, Bottas is in his Kimi Raikkonen era. He's in his Kimi Raikkonen era. He's just chilling. He's enjoying driving in an F1 car. That's about it. As Danny Ricciardo regains the position from Esteban Ocon. Go on, Danny Rick. I've got you in my fantasy team. So come on, get into the points. Yeah, we're in a bit of the stage of the race now, guys, where keep an eye out on lap times. We're going to find out, really, as Hulkenberg now comes into the pits again, we're going to see really who's really going gung-ho, who's most likely going to go to another hard tyre for their second stop, or we're going to see who are going to go... So basically, if you're going quicker now, it most likely indicates that you're going to be on the hard compound tyre again, I would assume. And then if you're on the soft compound tyre, you'll be wanting to eke out your hard compound tyre in this middle stint and not go as quick. So that's why I think possibly Sainz might be going to the hard compound tyre again. I love engineering, but nit when the team cheats. Well, the cost cap's been done now. Unfortunately, there's not much we change about that. But hope George podiums. Potentially. Lewis is catching Piastri 6 tenths closer than last lap. Yeah, let's have a look there. So Hamilton, 36.5 compared to Piastri's 36.7. So he made up 2 tenths last time around on that of the McLaren. George Russell staying ahead of Charles Leclerc with a 36.7. So Sainz and Perez there were much quicker than that of Russell and Leclerc. I mean, Max seems to be in a league of his own once again. I feel like I said that so often last year, the last 2 years, but he truly is. He's 35.3s at the moment, whereas Perez and Sainz are 36.1s. We'll see. We'll keep an eye out on those lap times, guys, as they continue. So Verstappen comes across the line with a 35. I mean, he's doing low 35. He's consistently this whole race been 7 tenths faster than everyone else. Like, it's massively impressive. Massively impressive, considering how close it was in qualifying. 36 zeros there, pretty much identical lap times from Perez and Sainz. Russell and Leclerc are considerably slower. They're dropping further back. Russell almost a second slower, pretty much, than that of Sainz and Perez in front. Leclerc being held up here by George Russell, I think. So much so that it looks like Norris is closing up the gap on Leclerc. That gap does look to be visibly closer, as does the gap between Piastri and Hamilton. Well, maybe that was just a Constantina effect there, but it did seem like that Hamilton was visibly closer to Piastri there that time around. But yeah, no movement at the moment. We're in a stage of the race where the drivers are going to be kind of eking out their tyres, playing to their strategy, hitting some lap times. And so, yeah, we'll see how this plays out. We expect the next pit stop to be, guys, around lap 30 odd is when we expect to see the next round of pit stops. So around 7 laps, we'll see. Yeah, that's when the pit window opens. Lap 30 to 40. So we'll see. Merc going to be crying after seeing Red Bull win with the concept. Yeah. Richie will struggle with this car. Tsunoda carry RB right now. Well, it's only the first race, but he's definitely going well. Yeah, it's in a bit of the boring stage of the race, to be honest, Connor. I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you. Max is just, yeah, super quick. Perez is... We need a safety car already. Leclerc struggling. Sainz is definitely quicker slightly than Perez. Sainz is definitely the quicker of the two Ferraris. So maybe that's a setup. Or maybe that's just, yeah, just driving style at the moment. Sainz is slowly pulling Perez in. Yeah, ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. Verstappen is on fire. Yep, have to agree, guys. Have to agree. Well, thank you to everyone for tuning in for this first race of the season. If you can continue to hit that like button, we've got over 120 likes now. Thank you very much, guys. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. I think I was not far off. I was not far off of 18,000 subs. I'm 30 subs away from 18,000 subs. So if you could hit the subscribe button, I'll be back here for every race this year as best as I can do. Of course, sometimes other commitments get in the way, but I am going to try and make every single race this year and do this for you because I love it, absolutely love it. And hopefully, look, the racing gets closer as the season progresses. The qualifying was closer at the moment. As I think everyone has predicted, Max would still be out front. The Red Bulls would still be quickest. However, has the gap closed? Not at the moment. Not at the moment. Over a single lap pace it has, but when it comes to the race distance, quite evidently, Red Bull are still far ahead. But let's see. Let's see. The race is not even halfway through yet, so. Why the fuck is Sargent in 20 but driving with the P10? So Sargent is a lap down. He's a lap down. So he will let Alonso overtake. He'll be getting a blue flag very shortly. So, yeah, don't worry. Interestingly, no further track limits have been enforced, guys. Just seems to be that Tsunoda's the only other driver who's picked up a track limit. So everyone being... nice as the race continues. Albon is closest at the moment. He's the only driver out there, well, apart from Gasly, who has DRS available. It's amazing how these drivers now possibly dropping back out of the dirty air to try and just look after their tyres. We're in a bit of the we're in the tyre management phase of this race, unless your name is Max Verstappen, because he's just going to continue going as fast as he possibly can. But yeah, the other drivers are probably just trying to eke out their tyre management in this middle stint. And then the last stage of this race, that's where things should get exciting again. Agree, supremacy. Yeah, I think that's probably eventually going to be the case, especially if he's not quite clearly ahead and fighting for a world championship. Red Bull have such an advantage, they're probably not running this car nearly as aggressive on geometric so they can run their tyres. Yes, yeah, they've probably gone, right, let's get an advantage and let's then just dial it down. So, any bots in chat? No, George. No, you can go back to doing whatever you want to do. Sargent has his own race. Come on, he's doing it. He's trying. So Sargent lets Alonso through. So how are the gaps? Let's have a look at the lap times, guys. So Russell, you can see there Leclerc dropping back from around a second from Russell at this stage of the race. Just all trying to manage their tyres at the moment. Carlos Sainz and Perez, though. Oh, Lewis Hamilton reporting, my seat is broken. That's not good. That's not good, Lewis. Where is it broken? That's the key factor. That's not good for Lewis. Seat is broken. So yeah, don't know where it's broken. He didn't report that, but we'll see if he has to come in and pit. I mean, the FIA will be straight onto that, trying to determine where is his seat broken. Is it a safety reason? Could potentially, if they can't come in and pit and repair it. Hang on. Just listening. So apparently Mercedes are suffering with overheating of their engine as well when they get into close proximity of another car. So yeah, Mercedes, not a great day at the office for Mercedes, not having their engines are having issues in the temperatures of the other cars. And then Lewis Hamilton, with a potential safety issue with his seat, reporting that it's broken. If the FIA deem that his seat is not suitable for purpose, for safety reasons, they'll have to retire that car. So the FIA will be investigating straight away and be straight onto the blower of the Mercedes engineers, I imagine, to find out exactly what is the status of that seat. Because with these cars, it's not going to be ideal. It's not going to be ideal. Max Verstappen to break every F1 record this season. No, I don't think he will. I think the development gap is going to close, and I think teams will be able to close that gap. But quite evidently, this is just Red Bull going, we're still in the lead. We're still in the lead, guys. So, do I think Red Bull will have a dive down in 20? I don't know, Jags. If I'm refraining from comment, obviously, from the Horner situation, but at the moment, if Ford aren't too happy, quite evidently, about that situation, and there's been some rumours floating around that there's potential that they might pull out. That's the implications of everything that's happened off track, is that Red Bull could be left in the lurch in that situation. But that's getting into a whole different side of things in regards to F1. Verstappen is basically he's using Hulk as a pillar. This is F1 teams dominant for years on end cycle. It's a cycle, just Max's turn. That's agreed, Jimmy. Like every new regulation era has a team that nails it. But I'm positive from what I saw in qualifying. I'm positive that teams will get closer. So we'll have to see. But this is very much a statement of intent from Verstappen in that Red Bull to say that I'm still champion. I'm still the quickest. You all think everyone's caught up with us. Like, I can win this race comfortably. So. Glad I don't see the canal for plus for the F1. Do I think Leclerc will retire since he... No. I don't think. I think Leclerc will be okay. He should be able to clear. You just got to stay out of the dirty air. Really, it's the heat and the wake from the car in front that's making these brakes overheat and these engine issues. So the fact George is in front in clean air is a good thing for him. Whereas Hamilton that's probably why Hamilton's had to drop back to 3 seconds. Just watching Lewis Hamilton now on board. He went a bit wide, Hamilton, in turn 10 as he was making adjustments on his steering wheel. So not a good day at the office, it seems, from the Mercedes. I still said, look, if Hamilton can try and... I think Hamilton's race is quite evidently with the McLarens. If he can try and get ahead of the McLarens by the end of this race, that'd be a great result for him, finishing in P6. For George Russell, of course, he wants a podium, but Perez and Sainz do seem to have the pace comfortably in hand. Last time around, Sainz did a 36.5, so 3 tenths slower than that of Perez. So maybe that's just an indication of Sainz wanting to drop back into some clean air as well. And we have our first pit stop in this first pit stop for the second pit stop. That makes sense, guys. Guan Yu Zhou is coming into the pits, 19 laps on his hard tyres. So this indicates that he's surely got to go to the hards, and he'll be taking those to the end of the race. Let's see what he comes out onto. I think race is one with us. I think so as well. There'd have to be a safety car. There'd have to be a breakdown from Max for this race not to be his, basically. Apologies, I got it wrong. Lance Stroll was the first person to pit. So he's actually in 18th at the moment on a brand new set of hards. So Charles Leclerc's engineer reporting tyre life is longer than expected. Is it longer or lower? I can't remember. Did he say longer or lower? I missed that there. Yuki Tsunoda now has 2 track limits violations, guys. 2 track limits. Hamilton got one for his off track at turn 10 as well. But we'll see if keep an eye on anyone else who comes in and pits. We'll also keep an eye out on the lap times of Lance Stroll and Guan Yu Zhou, who are on a brand new set of hard compound tyres. Of course, they're going to go quicker as they now have lighter fuel loads and fresher tyres at this stage of the race. Leclerc is going to break the gap between himself and Russell. Possibly. Alex, it would be a boring race if they showed Max or race. Of course it would. Of course it would. We're at 1K. Hey, thank you, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Hit the like button. We've got 1,000 viewers and only 168 likes. What are you doing? Hit the like button. Hit the like button. So, if you're just joining us and you're new to this channel, thank you very much. You found the best sim racing F1 watch along channel you possibly can. So yeah. Yeah, so it's been thus far this race. Let's sum this race up thus far. Verstappen quite evidently still champion and in a league of his own, 15 seconds ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez, who has made up some good ground by bringing that car into P2. Carlos Sainz has overtaken his teammate twice in this race on track, and yeah, is now in P3. Dropping back a little bit from Perez, people seem to be having some overheating issues with the engines out there and the brakes, so that's why you're not seeing really cars up close behind one another at this stage of the race. In the middle stint, we're still expecting another stop to be had, and then that's when cars should get racy again and we should see those gaps close back up together. It does seem like that Perez is able to go, well, I say that, Perez and Sainz set exactly the same lap time last time around, but Verstappen just keeps increasing his lead, comfortably the quickest driver out there. As we head further down the grid, we've got George Russell and Leclerc. Does look like Leclerc's closing that gap back up again, though, to George Russell. So maybe it's not going to be long until he comes into pit. Remember, I said lap 30 to 40 is when we're going to get that second pit stop for these guys. So the pit window is now open. So we'll see if Leclerc starts to get a move on, which I think he's trying to. I think he's trying to get in that DRS. If we keep an eye out on that interval, definitely it visually looks like his icon is closer, or maybe that's just because Lando Norris is getting a move on and closing up that gap to Leclerc. Hamilton is behind Piastri. The McLarens have kind of just gone about their own business today. For you McLaren fans out there, very kind of calm and collected. So they're just doing their own thing, which would be a great result for them, 6th and 7th if they can maintain it. Lewis Hamilton is having issues with his engine. He's having to pull back really from the guys ahead because he's overheating the engine, and he's also got a broken seat, he has reported. So that's not ideal. We don't know the extent of that. They haven't reported any more on it. But yeah, he doesn't really seem to be too much of a happy chappy, but he is comfortably ahead of Alonso as George Russell on cue is in the pit lanes. Just call me Mystic Stuffy, guys. Just call me Mystic Stuffy. Hey, Chris, good to see you all the way from the Philippines. Good to see you. Ocon and Bottas pitting. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Are we too interested in Ocon and Bottas down in 18th and 19th? I mean, I don't know, guys. Sorry if you're Alpine fans in here. But brought F1 TV and can't find any live race there at all. Could someone help? Yeah, you can use multi-viewer, or you can use the F1. F1 does have live data on there, guys. Does have live on there. But yeah, no, big thank you, guys. Thank you for all the subs I've just seen that have come through. Thank you very, very much. I've actually had to turn alerts off because you just have a consistent noise, alert noise come through, which is annoying. So George Russell does go onto the hard compound tyre. So he has done the soft, hard strategy that Pirelli suggested. Most likely we're going to see Verstappen and possibly Perez do the hard and soft. We will see. But let's keep an eye out as Stroll is close behind Guan Yu Zhou there, fighting for 14th position. Let's see if Charles Leclerc responds. Let's see if Charles Leclerc responds to George Russell, or if he is going to stay out there and try and do some push laps in some clean air. Let's see as he comes around turn 14. Perez and Sainz are staying where they are. Sainz at the moment in a P3 and a podium position. I think he still has an opportunity to possibly get second here in this race. And Leclerc stays out. Leclerc stays out. So Leclerc is going to try and extend this stint. Maybe he's not going onto the hard compound tyre. Maybe he's going to go onto a soft. That is still up for decision at the moment, it seems. But Hamilton, where is he? Yeah, he's not as quick as Piastri at the moment. He's just sitting in that 2-second range behind the McLaren. So, yeah, probably extending this stint. We still have kind of 7 laps left of this pit window. So we'll see if anyone comes in the next couple of laps or so. Yuki beating Daniel, yes. When to use the hard soft tyres. So they've all started on the soft compound tyre. Hang on, just looking. That a slow stop, 52.4 seconds, Valtteri Bottas. Oof. Oh, they couldn't get the left front on. Couldn't get the left front. Stake F1. Oof. Bit of airtime for them. As Stroll gets ahead of Guan Yu Zhou, but Zhou is going to have DRS and possibly have an opportunity to overtake Lance Stroll down into T4. Is this going to be a safety car? We know how Lance Stroll is wheel to wheel. It always ends up with kind of some car contact, but no, Guan Yu Zhou thinks better of it and sticks close behind Lance Stroll. Albon ahead of Danny Ricciardo there, as you guys just reported, in P12. Yuki Tsunoda on his own in P10. Charles Leclerc, is he going to come into the pits? And no, he still continues on, and neither does Norris, neither does Piastri. Does Lewis Hamilton come into the pits? Norris does dive into the pits. How about Lewis? Is Lewis going to come into the pits as well? He does. So we have Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton in the pits, most definitely committing to a hard stop, a last hard compound tyre, as George Russell is in the DRS of Fernando Alonso, potential Mercedes teammate in the future in 2025. How great would that be to see Alonso in the Mercedes to end his career? And George Russell gets ahead of Alonso. Russell on, of course, much grippier, newer hard compound tyres. Alonso just accepting his fate and letting that happen. Aston Martin not really at the races today. Alonso losing a lot of positions as the race went on. So Hamilton comes out and importantly is ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Good for him there. So surely we're going to see the likes of Carlos Sainz. Surely we're going to see the likes of Charles Leclerc come into the pit now. What time did he do last time around? 36.7 for Leclerc last time around. To be honest, that's not quick enough in this to kind of close up that gap on George Russell. George Russell with a 35.8 last time around. He's definitely going to come out behind George Russell. Russell would have increased that gap, but of course, Leclerc will have fresher tyres towards the end of this race. We'll see if that offset is sufficient enough for keeping Leclerc out longer as he comes into the pits for those extra few laps, whether that was worthwhile or not. They kept him out 2 laps longer. Was it worthwhile? I'm not so sure. As Hamilton sets the fastest purple sector of any, he sets a purple sector, fastest second sector of anyone today on a fresh set of hards. So here we go, guys. This is where the race is going to get interested again. You guys, I know you've been complaining about there being some gaps, but drivers out there are struggling with some temperature issues of their brakes and engine. That was in the tyre management phase. It's always a bit of the boring phase, as Hamilton seems to have got a real move on. He's made such a good Hamilton's had such a good outlap hammer time. He's come out side by side with Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri's got side by side. They've gone wheel to wheel through turn 2, but so much so that Oscar Piastri has had to slow down a little bit and give a bit of room and has lost some time to Lewis Hamilton. What an outlap from Lewis Hamilton there. Purple in the second and third sector, and he gets ahead of Piastri. That was proper hammer time moment for Lewis. I'm waiting for the TV coverage to see exactly what happened. Of course, it's very tight through turn 2 there, through turns 1 and turns 2. It does seem like that Piastri had to really slow down, and that's why Hamilton was able to get so far ahead. But that was a great outlap from Lewis. Oh my God, I didn't expect him to make up so much time on Piastri. I'm not sure if McLaren had a slight slower pit stop. We'll see. But even so, the combination of that outlap and the pit stop from McLaren potentially which is why he was able to go in front of Piastri, and Hamilton will now be trying to set his sights here in the last stage of this race with 22 laps remaining to catch up to the McLaren of Lando Norris. We'll see if he's able to do that. Just watching the TV replay, nothing as of yet in regards to... There we go. Yeah, just watching it now. They went side by side down into the first corner. Oh, Piastri actually went deep and got a bit of a tank slapper on the curb, and Lewis Hamilton did a nice cheeky little cutback, guys, and that was great racing there. Great racing. So it's really close there between Leclerc, Alonso and Norris, and well, Leclerc really needed to clear Alonso there because Norris has just set the fastest lap of the race, a 34.4. That is a tremendously quick lap there. That's the first lap we've seen in the 34s. I was saying that maybe Hamilton will be able to catch Lando, but I don't think he will because Lando has just set an unbelievably quick time there. 34.4 purple as Danny Ricciardo dives into the pit lane. Magnussen is now attacking Yuki Tsunoda. Everyone making those pit stops. The only guys who have not made a second pit stop yet is Perez and Verstappen. Sainz has just come out of the pits and he's on his outlap at the moment. We'll see if Perez responds. Do the Red Bulls respond to that pit stop of the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz? They do indeed. So let's see if Sainz can pull off a Hamilton and close that gap and have an overtaking opportunity down into T1 as Perez comes out of the pit lane. We do know Red Bull do not make bad pit stops. They are the quickest in the business, as Norris has made short work of Alonso and will set his sights again on Leclerc. Here comes Carlos Sainz. Is he going to be close to Perez? Is he going to be close? He's definitely going to be closer. There's going to be pressure put on Perez as they head down into the braking zone of turn 1. Sainz has definitely closed that gap there, and the undercut hasn't quite worked, but that gap is considerably closer than it was just a couple of laps ago. Here we go, guys. So Max Verstappen is the only driver out there. Oh, and interestingly enough, bold by the Red Bull there. They've put him onto the soft compound tyre. Now, this is interesting. Will Perez be able to take that soft compound tyre to the end of the race? Will it fall off? We've got a different varying strategy here, guys, at the end of the race between Perez and Sainz. So expect Perez to pull away from Sainz. I mean, the Red Bull is good on their tyres, but is it good enough for Perez to manage that tyre to the end of the race as Verstappen comes into the pits now as well? In Verstappen's hands, most probably, but I'm not sure if they're going to have enough here. Is there going to be... It all depends if that tyre falls off in the last remaining laps compared to the hard compound tyre. We will see. But yeah, if Perez is going to have to get a move on to get away from Sainz, it's just going to eat his tyres up more. So keep an eye out on that battle, guys, for P2. Everyone's here on merit, Malt. Everyone's here on merit. All 1,300 of you are here because you love F1, and hopefully I'm providing a decent service to you all. So much appreciated, guys. If you can hit the like button, there's over 1,300 of you in here. If you could hit that thumbs up and get it to over 500, that'd be great, guys. I would say 1,000, but I understand. I don't go straight out there and ask for a lot. So Leclerc seems to be getting a move on now as well, responding to Lando Norris with a bit of clean air. 34.8 last time around for him. Nearly 8 tenths difference there between him and George Russell, who George Russell has 3 laps older tyres compared to that of Leclerc. Hamilton is ahead of a lap car of Bottas there, his former teammate. Hamilton is looking to catch Fernando Alonso. He is pulling away from Oscar Piastri. Piastri did do a good lap time there with a 34.7 as Hamilton did have to deal with the traffic of Bottas. So he next on his list will be Fernando Alonso, who still has to pit as Hamilton goes fastest in the first sector there, of course, with a bit of DRS assistance from the lap car of Bottas. But Sainz and Perez, a 35.3 from Sainz this time around. Let's keep an eye out on those times between Perez and Sainz, because I think if Sainz can keep a relatively only a couple of seconds behind Perez on that soft compound tyre, then with the life that hard compound tyre has, he should be able to overtake Perez. And Sainz, we've seen today, has been very, very aggressive and bolshy. Like to see it. Proving a point in this race and this season for the man who is currently without a seat for 2025. So Is the guy who put in the wall at the start of a recent iRacer? It is! I am! Why do you think I'm commentating Metro and I'm not driving F1? My talent ran out very quickly in that F1 race. So, right, let's have a little rundown of the grid as Hamilton is about to make short work of Alonso, who is on used tyres down into the first corner. Bottas is letting Piastri past as well. So Hamilton, pole position, overtakes Alonso, who is yet to make his second pit stop. He's on 23 old lap hard tyres compared to Hamilton, who did a 34.9 that time around. So now there is nothing in between Hamilton's way for him to potentially chase down Lando Norris. He has 5 seconds to make up. It's a tall order because Lando does seem to be going quite quick as well. So we will see. What potentially could make this tasty at the end is if Russell and Leclerc start fighting and Lando Norris gets involved and it just backs everyone up. That would be great. That would be great for us neutrals, as Max is 18 seconds ahead of his teammate, about to set the fastest lap of the race on a brand new set of softs. Got to be 33s, isn't it? 32.6. Damn. Oof. That's a quick time, even on a set of softs. But you can tell there, Max has just gone out there and set the fastest lap on a 32.6, right? Perez has just done a 34.6. He's having to manage these tyres. He is really having to manage these tyres. He doesn't even have a used set of hards to use. This is where the difference of having an extra set of hards is probably going to play into Sainz's favour here, because Perez cannot go as fast as Max. We know he can't do that anyway on raw pace and talent, but he physically cannot do it, even if he could, because he would kill his tyres too quickly and just be a sitting duck to Carlos Sainz. Max is insane. Yeah. Well, he's just proved to everyone that I'm still the Don. I'm still the man to beat. Yeah. Come at me, guys. Come at me. Guys, did Sainz... Yeah, so everyone has stopped apart from Fernando Alonso, it seems. Yeah, Fernando Alonso is the only driver not to stop for his second pit stop yet, it seems. So. Right, guys, right. Only 277 likes, 1,500 of you in here. Thank you, much appreciated. By the way, we've more than doubled the amount of viewers that we had in this race last year. So thank you very much, guys. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We'll be back next week for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as well, and every other race throughout this year, and of course other sim racing and F1 content as well. So I do also appear on the Missed Apex podcast. If you don't listen to the Missed Apex podcast, guys, tune into that. I'm a panelist on that and make a number of appearances throughout the year. Great podcast with a good bunch of guys as well, and some great guests. Safety car just to the places would be even more. But, whoa, yeah, I mean, it's the first race. We still have 17 laps remaining, which is why I still think that's a long way for Perez to go on that set of soft tyres. I think it's only a matter of time that Sainz starts to reel him back in. I think Sainz just has to be patient. He just needs to be patient. So Leclerc just outside of the DRS of George Russell now. A 34.8 for Leclerc last time around to George Russell. He's chipping away at that lead that Russell has. However, he will be getting into that dirty air of George Russell. Catching is one thing, overtaking is another. And of course, George Russell, we know how he likes to defend hard. He's not easy to pass. And Leclerc, of course, wants to catch up, ideally to his teammate, and get a podium. I think that's kind of out of the question now. But he definitely wants to beat that Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton still 5 seconds behind Lando Norris. Unless Lando starts to have issues or get caught up in the fight in front, I think this is pretty much the finishing order for Lando, Hamilton and Piastri, as well as for Alonso and Lance Stroll. Let's have a little bit look further down the grid. By the way, is it one of the I mean, of course, I think people will evidently say that Max is driver of the day. But Guan Yu Zhou, does anyone expect Zhou to be in P11 right now? He's only one position away from the points, and he's only lapping He's lapping similar pace to Lance Stroll. I put it this way, guys. For my predictions this year, I had Zhou finishing last. And this would be a great start for him. So, yeah, what a performance from him thus far, Guan Yu Zhou. I mean, Magnussen is 4.9 seconds behind Guan Yu Zhou as well. So you'd like to think, but really he's got that in the bag, P11. It's whether or not he can chase down Lance Stroll as Alonso now comes into the pit. So let's see, actually, the gap across the line for Zhou and Stroll in regards to lap times. So Stroll is slightly quicker, as to be expected in the Aston Martin, but only like 3/10. So, yeah, wow. And we know with Lance Stroll, anything can happen. Alonso will catch Zhou because, look, he's right behind him. But yeah, for him to finish 11th, I didn't have that on my bingo card today, especially ahead of the RBs. Still a lot of time left to go in this race, 16 laps. But yeah, wow. That, to me, thus far, is one of the drives of the day. Hey, Sahil, good to see you. Leclerc, yes, Leclerc is in DRS now. Yes, as I was discussing Guan Yu Zhou. As Hulkenberg is the only driver to make, other than Logan Sargent, to make 3 pit stops today thus far. So, Sainz at the moment. Gap is now out to 3.3 seconds, but of course, Perez is only going a couple of attempts quicker per lap at the moment. And I imagine Sainz is not pushing too hard, but maybe Sainz... When is Sainz going to push? When is Sainz going to push? That's the thing. So, Leclerc is in P5 behind George Russell in that DRS, getting close down into the braking zone of Turn 1. He's going to have DRS again as they head up into Turn 4. And I don't think he's close enough. Does seem to be that George Russell got good traction out of Turn 1 and has just stayed far enough ahead to survive in P4 for another lap, but you can imagine that he'll be driving in his mirrors for the foreseeable until the end of this race, because Leclerc is going to be all over him. Hey Dita, welcome everyone. Yep, hope if you're new here, much appreciated. Over 1,600 of you in here. Hit the like button, guys, hit the like button. I know I'm doing that like cliche YouTuber thing, but hitting the like button really helps the channel. It helps the stream, helps grow this great community that we've got, put us out in front of more people, and yeah, who knows, maybe one day I'll be able to do this full time as well, and it could all be because you've hit that thumbs up button. So yeah, big thank you, guys, and subscribe as well, because I'll be doing these watch-alongs all season, and I do my own content as well, own like sim racing content and fun stuff as well. So we'd love to see a Sainz in podium. Yes. Even though I'm a Red Bull fan, I want to see Sainz in second and Perez third. Yeah. I mean, look, I think Sainz, as Leclerc is in the DRS once again, he's not going to have an opportunity down into T1. We'll see if he's able to get better traction out of T1 this time around. But I think Sainz is very unfortunate to be losing his seat to Lewis. I get it's Lewis Hamilton and that opportunity to turn down Lewis with the brand value that comes with it as well. I think Sainz is a top driver, and I think he deserves to be in the top team. And I feel like he hasn't done bad at Ferrari. Like he's improved. He started off a bit rusty at Ferrari. I think the pressure got to him a bit, but he's just continually improved at Ferrari. He's come into his own. I like him as a driver. I think he can be super aggressive, and I think he's a driver that doesn't really get the credit he deserves. And I mean, if I was another team, a top team, I'd be nabbing him up. So yeah, we'll see. I hope he stays in F1 because he's too good to not be in F1. Will Sainz go to Red Bull? Potentially. I don't know if they would bring him back. As Alonso overtakes Guan Yu Zhou down into turn 4, Leclerc still not able to get it done, just struggling to stay close in the dirty air of the Mercedes. This is what happens when you have two cars that are quite similar on pace. Catching is one thing, overtaking is another. I think Sainz going to Red Bull would probably be something that Red Bull don't want, because Max is number 1. They still direct things towards Max, understandably, because he's the quickest driver and that's what you do in F1. But Sainz would not play ball at Red Bull, and I think Sainz is considerably better than Perez. And it's not to say he would give Verstappen a go, but I think they would clash heads more. and that dynamic could go sour very quickly compared to someone who's more like happy to just be there, like Danny Ricciardo or Sergio Perez, I think. So yeah, we'll see. Where can you watch this? Right here. Right here. Why do you need to go anywhere else? Stuffeyy Max in Red Bull would be the biggest W. What, Sainz and Max? Yeah, it would be good to see as a neutral. As a neutral would be good. But from a business perspective, I don't think it would make sense. But who knows? Stranger things have happened in F1. Who saw Lewis go into Ferrari, eh? So Leclerc, a lot closer to Russell now. Still not able to get it done. This is the closest fight on the grid at the moment. Hamilton is closing the gap to Norris slightly. 4.3 seconds now, but he's running out of laps. Only 12 laps remaining. Seems to have Piastri covered off. But will Hamilton be able to chase down Lando Norris? We'll see. Leclerc really struggling to overtake George Russell. Sainz still 3 seconds behind Perez. Last time around, they set the same lap time, but then Sainz has just done a 34.7 compared to Perez's 34.5. So Perez still able to just hold off Sainz. I'm still not convinced that Sainz is charging Perez. I feel like he's still not going at him, so we'll see. We'll see. So this time around, Leclerc does seem to be considerably closer. Less than half a tenth out. He's half a tenth. He's 5 tenths, half a second is what I meant to say, behind George Russell as they head down into turn 4. DRS open, but that is not close enough. He needs to be really about 3 to 4 tenths behind George Russell out of the exit of turn 1. But it does seem to be that he's just struggling to gain traction in that dirty area. George has him covered. Maybe he might be able to stay close through turn 8 and do a sneaky cutback or force George out of position into turn 10, because he does get DRS down into turn 11, guys. If you are not familiar with the DRS zones at the Bahrain Grand Prix, 3 of those, one where they are right now in the middle of the circuit, one down the start-finish straight, and one down into turn 4, from turn 3 to turn 4. And as I say that, Leclerc surprisingly has got past George Russell there. What happened? That seemed like, was that just purely DRS? I thought he was too far back. Did George Russell have a little bit of a tank slapper there out of the exit of turn 10? Because I thought Charles Leclerc was too far back there to use DRS and get ahead of George Russell, but he's got it done. Charles Leclerc is now ahead of the Mercedes. However, roles are reversed. George Russell is still half a second. Oh, he's lost a bit of time there out of turn 14. He's going to have DRS open though. He will have an opportunity to come back at Charles Leclerc down into turn 1. In the toe of that Ferrari. He's gaining. Look at that interval time. Down into half a second. Actually got below half a second there. And will he have an opportunity? I don't think so. Look, he's 6 tenths. So I'm just looking at this overtake again. They got down to turn 10. He wasn't close enough. So I wonder if he had a bit of a wobble through the exit of turn 10. Did he have a slight lockup or something? He did. So George Russell locked up into turn 10, went off the track, and that just allowed Charles Leclerc to swoop past George Russell into turn 11. That, unfortunately, is why, we're not able to visually see if someone locks up on the track map. That's why I use TV coverage as well to support guys and report back to you. This poor man's F1 commentator has no idea. Go somewhere else then. I think Sainz is defending position, maybe final 3. He may have a charge. Possibly. Will it be 2 Red Bulls on the podium? Well, at the moment, it does look like that. I mean, Carlos Sainz is sitting in that range. He's sitting comfortably in that 3.4 second range. And I still not seeing a crossover yet of Perez's soft tyres coming to an end. I think it is truly going to come down to the end of this race, potentially charging up the battery, trying to pounce and have a go in those final 5 laps. I think you guys are right. Let's go Leclerc. Do I think Perez can hold 10 or more laps on the sauce? We'll see, Mark. We'll see, yeah. Sainz will be going for it as much as he can as this whole race. He's driven very aggressive this whole race, so So Verstappen, a 17-second lead for him over his teammate. It's been supreme driving from Max, supreme management. You can be guaranteed that car has already been turned into safe mode, engine turned down, and he's just comfortably driving out there, and he's comfortably the quickest driver. So that is a combination of a great car, but also a top talent and top driver. No doubt about that. So Hamilton has closed the gap. Hamilton has closed the gap as Alonso is in the DRS of Lance Stroll. Is there going to be team orders here? Is Alonso going to be told to... There's fighting side by side between the two teammates. Alonso and Lance Stroll going at it through turns 1, and Alonso gets out ahead. Will Lance Stroll come back at his teammate? Daddy Stroll won't be too happy to see that. The older statesman of Alonso overtaking his son. Of course, Alonso is on much quicker and younger tyres. It makes sense to let him through, but I'm not sure if that was team orders or if they actually did probably go side by side there, and that was a defence. But we'll have a look back on the replay. But yes, Hamilton, as I was before I was interrupted there by the Astons going at it, has closed the gap a little bit. That gap did get below 4 seconds. It has just crept out a little bit again now. Hamilton now has 2 track limits violations, has just popped up there, I've seen, alongside Yuki Tsunoda. Max also has 1. Alex Albon, Gasly, Leclerc. So a few drivers out there who have picked up an off track. I thought there'd be more, but it's quite... The wind supposedly is 0 miles an hour. There's a non-existent wind out there, guys, compared to what they were receiving in testing. But Norris, 2.8 seconds behind George Russell now. Let's see if he can catch George as George has fallen 2.3 seconds behind Leclerc. Has he used too much of his tyres? He does have 17 old lap hards compared to Norris and Hamilton, who are on 15 lap old hards. But the gap has stayed consistent pretty much between Norris, Hamilton and Piastri. So we'll see. Norris, I think Norris is going to catch George here. He's gaining in every corner. Look at the interval, guys, between Norris and Russell. And it is coming down every corner. Every high traction zone out of the slower corners, Norris is gaining on Russell. I think Russell has used his tyres up. I think Russell has used his tyres up at this stage of this race. Imagine we see Hamilton and Russell potentially fighting it out in the last couple of laps of this race. If Russell and Norris go at it and hold up, all it takes is for them to go side by side for a couple of corners, and Hamilton and Piastri will be right there ready to pounce. So it does seem like at the moment Perez has the better of signs. That gap is now out to 4 seconds. Ocon is currently fighting, well, he's not fighting Sargent, apologies, I thought that was Albon he was fighting there. We have Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Albon in the middle there, Yuki and Ricciardo in 13th and 14th. I thought the RBs would do much better. Danny Ricciardo is on the soft compound tyre, so it'll be interesting to see if Ricciardo is allowed to overtake Yuki and at least fight him. Of course, Yuki in his own fight at the moment, though, with Magnussen, so I'm not sure if team orders will come into play there, especially so late in this race. Guan Yu Zhou still holding on to 11th position. This is great for him, up 6 positions thus far. The Aston Martins currently 9th and 10th. Lance Stroll, after being tagged by Hulkenberg at the start of this race, guys, and spun around through no fault of his own. It was Hulkenberg's fault entirely. Is not too bad for him. That's a good recovery. I don't often give Stroll credit, but you have to give credit where it's due. Yeah, give it where it's due, guys. I agree, Jerome. I agree. I think you're not alone there. I'm really surprised they kept Perez on for another year. But look, at the moment, he's still doing the job. He's doing what Red Bull want. If he finishes second every race, even if it's 30 seconds behind Max, it's what he's there to do. He's not there to take it to Max. As a neutral, we want someone to do that, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. So George Russell is now 2 seconds ahead of Norris. So in the space of 1.5 laps, Lando Norris has closed up half a second on George Russell. A 35.6 last time around for Lando Norris and a 36.1 for George Russell. In comparison, Hamilton and Piastri both... Oh, Hamilton set the same lap time as George Russell last lap as well. So George Russell most definitely pitting 2 laps earlier than that of Norris and Hamilton is starting to struggle. with his tyres. This is where the fight's going to be, guys. The fight is with Norris and Russell for that top 5 position. I think another lap or a couple of laps or so, and I think Norris will be on the back of Russell. So keep an eye out on that. Yuki still not able to get past Magnussen. The Haas doing well there. Hulkenberg, who was in P10 at the start of this race, is now in 16th position. Biggest loser today. Down 6 positions. Here comes Yuki. DRS open. Down into turn 1. Is he going to go late on the brakes? No. But Danny Ricciardo's also late on the brakes as well on the soft compound tyre. Danny must be chomping at the bit. Let me at him, because he's on the soft tyre compared to that of the hard of Yuki and Magnussen. But, of course, team orders in play. He has to play ball. I wonder if they'll give Danny Ricciardo an opportunity in the last couple of laps to have a go at Magnussen. I guess it's kind of not for... It doesn't really matter because it's not for points. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Keep an eye out on that fight between Magnussen, Yuki and Ricciardo, as Max is going to get in the way of that fight very, very shortly. So, Lando, this time around, not able to close the gap on Russell. Russell responds with a 35.8 on George Russell and actually goes a couple of attempts faster. However, Hamilton has just done a 35.5, half a second he's made up on Lando Norris there. We'll see if he's able to maintain that. Is Hamilton going to make a charge on Norris in the last couple of laps here? Still 3.8 seconds behind though, so it's a tall order with only 6 laps remaining, guys. West Ham 1-1. Thanks for the update, George. Thanks for the update. Max has the fastest 32.6. Yeah, Max has set fastest lap. He did that pretty much on the first lap on his soft compound tyres. Guys, we have nearly 2,000 of you in the stream. Thank you very much. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed. I can't get through all of you. We'll be back here, of course, for more races and more qualifying sessions throughout this season. Hit the like button. I know I'm a broken record, but please do. Let's get it to 1,000. Half of you hit the like button. Come on. Let's get it to over 1,000. Sainz is going to cook right now. You think? I don't think so. I don't think so. Unless Perez, they're coming up to some traffic. So they are coming up to some traffic, and we'll see if anything happens here. We'll see. We'll see if Ocon gets kindly out of the way. Will he let Perez through? Will this give Sainz an opportunity to have a go at Perez? So Tsunoda has been given the order to swap with Tsunoda has been given the order to swap with Ricciardo, and he is not a happy bunny. It's sweary Yuki all over again. I do think it's the best opportunity for Ricciardo to have a go at Magnussen, but of course it's not really for a points position, so we'll see. But Yuki did have a fair opportunity of having a go at Magnussen. Can see why he is upset, but yes, the driver swap there from Ricciardo and Tsunoda. So we'll see if Ricciardo is able to overtake Magnussen, who is on the hard compounds tyre, Ricciardo on the soft. It did seem that Danny Ricciardo was just comfortably sitting behind Yuki Tsunoda and that fight with Magnussen. So we'll see. Max just getting in the way there, though, overtaking them with blue flags. Norris now 1.8 seconds behind Russell. He's got that to under 2 seconds, and Russell will definitely be looking in his rearview mirror now. Hamilton also closing the gap consistently. The last 4 or 5 laps, Hamilton has been in the mid 35s compared to Russell and Norris, who have been in the high 35 range and low 36 range. But only 4 laps remaining, though. Or 3 laps remaining. No, 4 laps remaining, sorry, because Verstappen's just crossed the line. 4 laps remaining of this race. They now need to get a move on. Sainz catching up with a little bit there. He's caught up a little bit with Perez getting caught by Ocon. Ocon wasn't too keen to let Perez by. I don't think Sainz has enough. I think Perez has done very well to eke those tyres out. But we'll see in this last couple of laps if they do really fall off a cliff, but I don't expect them to. So Magnussen here is not going to be wanting to let Verstappen pass easy because he has Ricciardo straight on the back of him and comfortably lets him down the main straight there. And here we go. So Norris once again continuing to close that gap, 1.7 seconds behind. Hamilton 3.4 seconds behind. Thing is, catching's one thing, overtaking is another. Norris starting to approach that wake of the Mercedes of George Russell. That dirty air will be causing him some issues in regards to overheating and, of course, lack of traction rather than being in clean air. But if he can get within the DRS, you do have to think about Norris having an opportunity on George Russell. Yuki Tsunoda still not happy over the radio at his team there in regards to that driver swap. Be interested to see if Danny Ricciardo is able to overtake Magnussen. It'd be interesting to see Yuki's perspective of that after the race. His interviews may be quite comical, guys, quite comical. Max has lapped half the grid. Not quite. 12 cars. Will be 11. But yeah, it's 20 seconds ahead. Someone said at the start of this race he'll win by 20 seconds, and well, there you go. Right, so Lando Norris still 1.8 seconds behind George Russell. 3 laps remaining. Hamilton 3 seconds behind now of Lando Norris. Let's see if we have a grandstand finish for P5. I'd love for it to be for P1, but yeah, more of the same for Max. Picked up where he left off 2023. So Ricciardo on the back of Magnussen. Sainz gets past Ocon. So he's got to go for it. He's got to have a go, Sainz, and try and put some pressure on Perez. It's a tall order, being 3.3 seconds behind Perez. I think that opportunity's gone for him. Maybe he should have tried to attack Perez a little bit earlier. Or maybe he's just happy with a podium. It's proven a point. He's got on the podium first race. He's only lost to Verstappen and Perez, the 2 Red Bulls. And importantly, he's finished ahead of his teammate and done it out on track. So for Sainz, that is a statement of intent for a driver who doesn't have a seat next year. Verstappen is racing with his ghost. Max is watching Drive to Survive on his dashboard again. He's got a preview of the pre-season. Right, so where Danny Ricciardo closing in on Magnussen in that DRS now, but Magnussen is also closing up on Guan Yu Zhou, and for Ricciardo that'll be the worst thing for him if he's able to. Tsunoda's still not happy. Tsunoda still going at his team over the radio about Danny Ricciardo. He's not fast at all. He needs to speed up. Well, we'll see. So let's see if Danny Ricciardo is able to overtake Magnussen. But yes, he needs Magnussen to stay without that DRS of Guan Yu Zhou, who he is catching, because that's not ideal for him. But Danny does have DRS now. Will he have an opportunity down into turn 11 with that extra grip on the soft tyres? Here he goes, down into turn 11. No, not quite. He's going to have to wait for the start-finish straight. But that might give Magnussen DRS on Guan Yu Zhou. And that will leave Ricciardo, well, less of an advantage to overtake Magnussen. Norris catching, not able to catch George so much. 1.5 seconds behind George Russell with only 1 lap remaining after this as Verstappen is coming onto the final lap, guys. 21.5 seconds ahead of his teammate. Sainz not able to close down that gap of Sergio Perez there. Who is 3.1 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz, who is on the hard compound tyre. Perez has done a great job on that soft compound tyre. Very, very good drive from Sainz today, if you ask me. And for Perez as well. Both getting it done out on track and not in the pit lane. So here goes Danny Rick with the DRS open. I don't think he's close enough. Once again, Magnussen is now starting to get the toe from Guan Yu Zhou. Even though he doesn't have DRS, that is just assisting him a bit more. And I think Danny Ricciardo's tyres, that soft tyre advantage has possibly gone. It has possibly gone. So let's see. Maybe he makes a move down into turn 10. Are we going to see the trademark late braking move of Danny Ricciardo that we've seen in the past? And doesn't seem like he's got it. He's half a second behind as they head down into turn 10. Tsunoda all over the back of him, shouting over the radio. Here goes Danny Rick. And I don't think he's got it. I think Magnussen still has enough with the toe of Guan Yu Zhou in front. If he didn't have Zhou in front, just giving him that little bit of extra suck, he would be probably a sitting duck to both Alpha Tauri's, apology, RBs, Visa Cash App. God knows what other corporate name they're going to stick on the end of it, team. So here we go. Max Verstappen round the final corner for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and he is the winner of the first race in 2024, guys. We expected it. We did expect it. And Magnussen has been able to hold on to that position from Danny Ricciardo. And Danny Ricciardo, interestingly, does not give the position back to Yuki Tsunoda, even though there's no points on offer. Be interested to see that dynamic unfold in that team as the year progresses. Sergio Perez holds on to the position there from Carlos Sainz, who did make a bit of a charge at the end there, who got the gap down to just over 2.5 seconds, but he has not been able, he did it too late there, Carlos Sainz, and well, what a great podium that is for Carlos Sainz. The other Ferrari, I think, the Ferrari no one expected to be on the podium, to be honest with you. I think we all thought Leclerc would be. Leclerc comes across the line in P4. Russell, who was being closed by Norris, but just couldn't close that gap, is down in 5th and 6th. Hamilton, a lot stronger towards the end of this race, had quite a few issues with his seat being broken and overheating issues in that engine. Piastri comes in P8, and Alonso and Stroll, where's Alonso? Oh, there he is, round the last corner. I was going blind. Alonso comes across in P9, and Lance Stroll will come across in P10, and that is the points positions finishes. A great result for McLaren, if you ask me, guys, in P6 and P8. So often they've finished outside of the points towards the back of the grid. But yes, the story here, guys, the story here is... Yes, you did, Eric, you did. The story here is that Verstappen is still supreme. He has won from pole position. He has won from lights out to checkered flag by 22 seconds. It was a great drive by him. Quite clearly had the pace on everyone. His tyres were just not dying. And yeah, even when he was tyre managing, he was just quicker than everyone. So yes, as we expected, Red Bull is still the team to beat. It was a bit closer behind, but that is a 25-second gap between Verstappen and the next car, which is not a Red Bull car. So worrying if you're a neutral, worrying still, very worrying. But look, it's a long season. It is a long season. Other teams have made progression. Maybe they've made mistakes with their setups, but yeah, that is Red Bull laying down a marker, quite clearly indicating that they are, still the team to beat, guys. Still the team to beat. Wow. Stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned for we'll see if there's anything said in regards to the cooldown room as well. Big thank you to everyone who tuned in. We hit over 2,000 viewers in this race. Absolutely smashed the PB from Bahrain last year, and yeah, nearly getting towards my PB highest viewership ever. So yeah, big thank you, guys. Big thank you. We'll be back, of course, next week for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. I'll be doing, of course, my own sim racing content in between then as well. But a big thank you to all the subs. If you can hit the like button on your way out, come on, 500 likes. There was over 2,000 of you in here. There's still 1,400 of you in here. Hit that like button on your way out and get it to over 500 likes. Yeah, let's do our driver of the day, shall we? I'm going to run a poll right now, and let's see who driver of the day is. So, who do we think? DOD. So, we're going to go with Max. We're also going to go with, I think, Carlos Sainz. I think he was very good. I think Perez deserves a shout as well, and I also think Guan Yu Zhou deserves a shout because up 6 positions, just finishing outside of the points. Bearing in mind he's in a stake F1 car, and I completely wrote him off this year. I think that was a tremendous drive for him to be finishing just outside the points. But let me know who you think out of those 4. There are my 4 options. Yeah. Hit that, guys. Hit that. 452 likes. Come on. We've still got over 1,000 of you in here. Thanks, OS. Yeah, thank you to everyone. Thanks, Anthony. Thank you, Renee. Thank you to everyone who's new to this channel. I love doing these. I love the commentary. I love, most importantly, having a back and forth with you guys. I know sometimes I get carried away and I don't always look at the chat. But yeah, I love talking F1 with you guys. I love F1. And look, maybe not the most exciting race to start the season. Qualifying was closer. Hopefully the teams have learned, and yeah, hopefully we'll see some closer races in the future. But it is a very ominous start to the season from Max. Red Bull quite clearly have an advantage over everyone else, and considering this is a track that has very high degradation, yeah, you're not going to beat the Red Bull by having better tyre life than them, because they're just supreme, man. It's so impressive. It's so impressive. So cost you nothing to hit that thumb. Do it. Hit it, guys. Hit the thumbs up. That's kind of, thank you, Ash. Who has the fastest lap? Max Verstappen. Yeah, so he is maxed out with a 26 points, sorry, because you get an extra point for fastest lap. I will admit, I didn't see Perez finishing P2. I thought he'd struggle again this year, but Perez generally always starts off quite well. But Carlos Sainz, really impressed with Carlos Sainz. The fact of it, he was super aggressive on his teammate. I need to watch it back. Leclerc did complain about moving under braking. We know, obviously, there was a bit on the line, bit on the edge, wasn't it, last year at Monza between the two of them, with some moves under braking. So I need to watch that back and watch the highlights back to see if there's any truth in that. But yeah, Sainz was super aggressive and quite clearly had the pace over Leclerc. That's the worrying thing for Ferrari, is that your outgoing driver is a lot quicker in the first race of the season compared to Leclerc. Don't know if that's mainly due to setup, but yeah. As is so often the case, Leclerc is quick over a single lap, but then when it comes to the actual race, he's not the fastest. He's not the fastest. So thanks, Mohammed. Thanks, DR. Good to be back in the groove. Yeah, we'll be doing this all season, Daisy, as best as I can. 24 races is a lot this year, so I'm going to try and make as many as I can. Of course, if something pops up that for some reason I can't, of course I will let you guys know. So be sure to turn on your notifications. Feel free to join the Discord as well, guys, that should be in a link in the description below. We chat sim racing, we chat real life racing. I've got my own F1 fantasy league, which I am doing terrible in. After qualifying, I was near the bottom, and I'm probably going to be still near the bottom today. I should have double captained Max, to be honest with you. I just really thought Leclerc might do something, but yeah, clearly not. 600 points for Max this year, you think? 55th Grand Prix victory. I think that's like his 17th in a row. Is that 17? He won 17 races last year. So yeah, picked up where he left off. Just listening to his interview. Standard interview from Max. Great to drive. We was in control, as to be expected. I'm intrigued to hear what Carlos's thoughts are. Carlos Sainz with his fight with Leclerc. See what he has to say, but yeah, they still have that advantage quite evidently. The fact of it is a 22 second lead over his teammate, 25 seconds over Carlos Sainz. It was that first stint on the softs, man. I feel like it was the same last year. He was so quick and consistent on those soft tyres. Like, the thing is about Red Bull last year is that they were not only quick, but they were so good on their tyres, is that they could go quick for longer than everyone else. So it wasn't just that there was a quick, but they could maintain that pace for longer than everyone else. So as you've seen today, everyone's had to pit there. Carlos Sainz was the latest driver to pit out of the top 10. Well, apart from Alonso, but he was way back. But anyone who was kind of like there or thereabouts. Carlos Sainz pitted on lap 17, Norris lap 16, Hamilton 15, Piastri 15, Leclerc 14, as well as Russell 14, and Verstappen just went to lap 20. Look, 20 laps, like just super consistent. Could take it that long and just built himself up a lead and did everything that we didn't want, really, which was build himself a free pit stop. He needs to not be in a free pit stop and be forced to do something out on track, which at the moment he's not doing. So, or no one's making him do that. So, but yeah, impressive. Zhou put, yeah, I think Zhou put in a performance. I think he truly did. I did not see that coming. I thought that was a great drive from Guan Yu Zhou. 6 positions gained, only finishing outside the points to Stroll, Alonso. I mean, you think the top 10 are the top 5 teams. So below that, he's finished best of the rest. So let's have a look. Let's have a quick rundown of the grid, and then I'll answer a few more questions. So we have Verstappen finishing in P1, guys, 22 seconds, 22.5 seconds ahead of his teammate Perez. Perez finished in second, and Sainz rounds off your podium. Great drive by both Perez and Sainz because they did their overtaking out on track. They didn't do it in the pit lane. Carlos Sainz, of course, overtook his teammate twice out on circuit as well for position. So, yeah, a great statement of intent by Sainz for this year, who, of course, said it before, is without a seat for 2025. Charles Leclerc finishing in 4th just seemed to not have the pace compared to those top 3. Obviously, no one had the pace to Max, but to Perez and Sainz, which was really interesting. So we'll see what comes of that. Maybe it was a setup difference, or maybe it was just Leclerc struggling in general with the car and his driving style. George Russell in 5th, losing 2 positions. Norris 6th and Hamilton 7th, up from P9. Piastri 8th. A great result for the McLarens. They will openly admit they're not the strongest team at the moment, and probably not the second fastest team compared to where they were at the end of last season. And they've always had a very poor start to the season. So for them to finish in the points, 6th and 7th, 6th and 8th, is a great start from them. But they just kind of went about their business, to be honest with you. They didn't really do anything special. Bit of a boring race for them. But yeah, Hamilton and Piastri, of course, came together. I say came together, like had a bit of a fight out of the pits. Hamilton, of course, needs to focus more on his 1 lap pace. He cannot now leave himself out of position in qualifying. He needs to stop focusing so much on the race, and with the pack being so close in regards to behind Max, he needs to, at least in qualifying, he needs to be closer over a single lap now compared to focusing on the race like he has done before when it comes to his setup. Alonso, bit poor from him. Went down the pack. I thought the Astons might start off the year a bit stronger like they did last year, at least maybe on level playing field with the McLarens, but they weren't. And Lance Stroll, a great recovery from him, considering he had made a good start and then got tagged into T1 by Hulkenberg and spun around. So yeah, the fact he finished in P10, I don't often give Stroll credit, but it was a good drive by him. And then yeah, Zhou, I think Max for me is driver of the day, but I think Zhou is a very close second, and I think Sainz is probably 3rd, and then Perez 4th. Yeah, that's a great drive from Guan Yu Zhou. Magnussen 12th. Ricciardo, who was let in front of his teammate Tsunoda to have a go at Magnussen and couldn't get it done. Didn't give the position back at the end, even though it was for no points. Of course, you want to be beating your teammate, and especially when there's potentially a Red Bull seat on the line. That is not a good result for Yuki Tsunoda there. Albon 15th, the Williams, yeah, not quite out the races as we expected. Hulkenberg had the biggest shocker out of everyone. Surprised he got away with a penalty without a penalty. Ocon and Gasly, well, at least they didn't finish last, guys. At least they didn't finish 19th and 20th. But yeah, Bottas in 19th, shocker from him, and Logan Sargent had issues with his brakes, which is why he finished 2 laps down in 20th. And yeah, that's your final grid there, guys. That's your final grid. So let's have a look at who your driver of the day is. I'm going to have a guess. Is his initials begin with an M, and is it a V? Of course it does. Ending the poll. And 334 votes. Max 56%, Sainz 29%, Guan Yu Zhou 8%, and Perez 5%. Interesting. Thanks, Kanav. Good to see you, buddy. Mercedes fell off, not going to lie. Yeah, so Mercedes, be interesting to hear the post-race interviews. You'll get a lot more of an insight in regards to the struggles that some of the teams have. Nothing went plain sailing for Mercedes. I wonder how much Lewis's seat was affected him. What was it broken? But yeah, guys, 17 likes to 500. Come on, there's 17 of you in here who haven't hit the like button. I'll even like my own stream. Yes, I'm not ashamed of it. I might have already liked my own stream. Wow, we smashed 18k subs, by the way, guys. Thank you very much. 18,121 subscribers we currently have. Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. I think Max has actually forgotten how to race in traffic. Yeah, he's forgotten what it feels like to go wheel to wheel with someone who's actually fighting him for position. No fault of his own though. Like he's got a great car and he's a great driver. So further proof for LH, if leaving, only chance he has to actually fight for anything or have an exciting race. Look, it's a long season. It's a long season. There's 24 races this year, but that is I don't think that's an ideal start for any team outside of Red Bull. Everyone would have thought they'd closed the gap on Max, and he's just like shat on anyone's ideas and opinions and thoughts that they might have closed the gap on Max. 10 seconds. I think if he finished like 10 seconds ahead of like Ferrari or Mercedes, I think they would be. I think they genuinely would be happy with that, because over the course of a race distance, that's like a couple of attempts per lap or whatever, and you can work from that. But that 22 seconds or 25 seconds from Carlos Sainz is a lot. He's lapped half of the field in the first race. That's ominous for the teams, and I bet you'll see a lot of team principals, Toto Wolff especially, emphasise that that just isn't good enough for them. So, opinion about F1 24. I don't really have too much of an opinion about it, Scram. I've never been a massive fan of the F1 games. If it goes to a new graphics engine, which is Unreal Engine 4, I understand, then I might give it a look at and give it a go. But if it's the same stuff, if it's the same looking game that we've had the previous years, I won't be trying it out. So my time is better spent elsewhere. But if it's a new engine and it has like a new look to it and stuff, then I'll give it a go. Gutted about Williams' terrible start to the season. Yes and no. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not great. You would think they'd want to be the best of the rest, wouldn't they? They would want to be best of the rest. I don't think anyone expected Zhou to finish in 11th and Magnussen in a Haas to finish 12th. Hulkenberg completely did. Hulkenberg did the typical Haas thing. Whenever Magnussen or Hulkenberg get into Q3, they always do something at the start of a race to just like throw it all away. They do. They just do something to throw it all away. Whether it be get like damage a front wing or something. They love damaging a front wing, the Haas team, in the first lap. It's shocking. It's shocking driving by both of them. They need more awareness at the start of a race. 22 seconds with management on pace is it's worrying, Shane. It's worrying. Why is it for Hamilton? What are my thoughts? Hamilton should retire really back in from last 3 seasons. No, because he's still fit and still quick. It's just having the machinery underneath you. Hamilton quite evidently fucked up his setup this week. He openly admitted that he focused more on the race than he did on qualifying. And I think he's switched now. I think he can't do that anymore. I think you have to focus more on your one lap. You have to find a balance between a setup that is quick over a single lap pace, but is going to get you as far high up the grid as possible, and then is going to be good enough in a race. Because arguably Russell has picked a setup, you could say, that is quicker over a single lap pace. He said openly in an interview yesterday that George went left, I went right with my setups. And George, he sacrificed more single lap pace for the race. However, so that's the case. George has still finished 2 positions ahead of him. He's still picked up more points than him. So that single lap pace for George, while he might not have had a better race setup, means because he qualified higher up the grid, he was able to finish 2 positions ahead of his teammate. So yeah, there's a balancing act to be had. You can't be starting 9th place and expect in modern F1 to finish on the podium. Like, you just can't expect that anymore. So Should we blame Mercedes? What, for this weekend in regards to Lewis? No, Lewis's is all self-inflicted. Yeah, it's Lewis's fault because he picked the wrong setup. But it is Mercedes' fault that they haven't made a quick enough car. Yeah, same as it is for Ferrari. Red Bull have nailed it again. So they still have the best concept, and it's still for everyone to play catch up. Quite evidently, 22 seconds. I'm saying 25 seconds because Perez is in the same car. It's 25 seconds for the other teams to catch up. So, well, the only time Max sees the back of an F1 car is if he's lapping it. The race is over right now, George. Yes, this is your final positions here. The race is over and done with. First race of 2024, the Bahrain GP is over with. We head to Saudi Arabia next week. Same format on the times. So practice is on Thursday, qualifying on Friday, race on the Saturday. Yes, Terry. Yep, the race is finished. I think I just need to hand Red Bull the champion already. It's done. Well, look, it's a long season. Stranger things have happened in F1. Stranger things have happened. So, look, Ferrari and Mercedes and McLaren, they have great engineers behind them. So we'll see. We'll see if that extra wind tunnel time they have, etc., helps them bring them closer to Red Bull. But yeah, Red Bull very much and Max have picked up where they've left the last 2 years. So. I'm not sure, Molsky. I did see some. So I did see some comments come through, like some communications come through in regards to Ferrari and Mercedes and that. I don't think Ferrari and Mercedes were having the best of times in regards to temperatures. They had to like drop back from the car in front, especially in the middle stint of the race, to cool down the engines. You saw Logan Sargent have a brake issue into turn 4 as well. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't bode well for them because Red Bull didn't have that issue. It was only Ferrari and Mercedes. But yeah, well, that's going to take some investigation and listening to the interviews after the race to see exactly what issues they had. Wheel spread is massive and cars still can't race closely. Yeah. I mean, Bahrain. I feel like Bahrain. I don't know about Bahrain. You know. We was talking about this at the start of the race. I think Bahrain is the best Middle Eastern circuit we've got. But does it? I mean, how many times do we really get good races at Bahrain? The only time we do is probably if there's a safety car to help bunch up the pack. But I think Bahrain generally has a tendency for drivers or for races to spread out. For the field to spread out quite a bit. I mean, I think Leclerc and Max is... So the two races in the last 20 years that I remember we've had the closest races was 2014 with Lewis and Rosberg. And then we had Max and Charles in 2022. They're like the only two races I can think of off the top of my head that Bahrain were truly good races. I think when it comes to a race, I think, yeah, the field spread is generally, like, it gets spread out quite thin, the field. And unless there's a real close fight, like for the lead, you don't ever really remember it as a race. So there's other circuits where the teams will feel stronger and they should feel that they're closer to Red Bull. Saudi Arabia, do expect Red Bull to be quickest. Of course, last year, Perez beat Max. Max did have a gearbox issue, didn't he? A slight gearbox issue, which is why he qualified out of position. Fortunate with a safety car that he was able to kind of stay behind. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see as the season unfolds. It's a hot lap track, not great for watching races. Yeah, it is over, Frost. It is over. Also, Nico is really good, bro. Really recovered good. Nico Hulkenberg? 16th. Yeah. I mean, Sargent had brake issues. I don't know what happened with Bottas. Gasly, the Alpines are shocking. Absolutely shocking. I mean, Gasly made 3 pit stops. I don't know what. I mean, they probably just used that as a test session. They're like how McLaren were a few years ago. So, can you get a recap, Hyper? So the recap is that Max Verstappen picked up where he left off, guys. By finishing 22 seconds ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez, who made up some positions on track, as well as Carlos Sainz, who finished 25 seconds behind Verstappen. So Red Bull still supreme. Carlos Sainz, very impressive drive. He overtook his teammate twice out on circuit to get that podium position. Seemed to comfortably have the pace over his teammate of Leclerc. Leclerc beat George Russell. George Russell just hit it a bit too early on his last stint and was overtaken by Leclerc, who was then chased down George Russell by Lando Norris, but Lando couldn't catch him. Hamilton, a really nothing race from Hamilton. Went side by side with Piastri into turn 1 out of the pits, but a good race overall from the McLaren team. Alonso dropped further back, didn't have the pace today. That Aston Martin quite comfortably quicker than the rest of the field down below him, but not quick enough to fight the top 4 teams. Lance Stroll, credit where it's due, got spun and turned around into turn 1 by Nico Hülkenberg after making a good start off the line. So a good recovery from him to finish in the points. Guan Yu Zhou, didn't expect him to finish in 11th, 6 positions gained. Magnussen held off Danny Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda at the end of the race. So impressive from him in the Haas. Didn't expect to see a Haas finishing that high up. Danny Ricciardo and Tsunoda, post-race interviews are going to be interesting because Ricciardo was let through and Tsunoda was not happy whatsoever. Albon, pretty much a nothing race for Albon. Hülkenberg, same thing, had to pit for a new front wing after lap 1. Ocon and Gasly, shocking. Bottas, shocking. Logan Sargent had brake issues and was very close to retiring the car, but managed to get it going again, which is why he finished 2 laps down. And that is your Bahrain Grand Prix. I think that's a good recap, guys. I think that's a good recap. I've got the McLaren GT3 Rim. McLaren V2 GT3 Rim. Oh, right, guys, right. I am now going to go and pour myself a nice, well-earned drink. So, yeah, big thank you. I'm going to ask of you, don't make me beg. There's 2 more likes for 500 likes. Two more. Hit the thumbs up, guys. Hit the thumbs up. 2 more likes for 500. Considering we had... Oh, they're talking to Christian Horner. Hang on. I'm surprised he's still doing all interviews and stuff like that. But anywho. Can I talk to you about your design team? I thought he was going to talk to him about... I thought he was going to ask the question. Can we talk to you about your stuff? So, Raid from Happy Playing. Hey, show us my... Oh, yeah. Should we have a look at my fantasy team and how shocking it's done? We'll have a look. We'll have a look. Thank you, guys, for getting the stream to over 500 likes. Much appreciated. Yeah, this my fantasy team shocking. After today. I tried to be a little bit out there. So let's see if I can show you guys. Hang on. Just got to load into it. All right. So in my own league, have they assigned the points yet? Okay, so they haven't assigned the points yet. It's my team. My team. So here's my team, guys. Here's my team. Let's get rid of the track map. So this is my team, if you can see that there. Oh no, what have I done? Sorry, give me 2 seconds, guys. So this is my team, very poor really. I had Max. I just thought Lewis might do something. I thought he might do something. I thought Mercedes, after the practice sessions, I thought there was something sneaky in there that they might do something. How wrong I was, guys. Especially after seeing qualifying, I was like, for fuck's sake. I should have gone for the safe option and just double captained Max Verstappen, to be honest with you. And then I picked Albon, Ricciardo, and Tsunoda. And yeah, neither of them finished in the points. Neither of them. It's tricky because you could only really have... You can't, unless you're picking like Logan Sargent and Kevin Magnussen, you can't really have a third top team driver, which is someone from Aston Martin, like the top 5 teams, especially if you've gone for Max. And then I've gone for Mercedes and I went for Williams. So yeah, that was after quali, and then after the race, it's not going to be much better. So the only saving grace is I've got Max, but yeah. But hey, Apu, raid from Apu playing. Oh, thank you, buddy. You would have Perez on him then 7 times. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a change somewhere, or I might leave it as it is. To be fair, I might leave it as it is. I don't think it's going to be often that we see the top 5 teams finish in all points. So. I don't know. I might put Carlos Sainz in. Because I feel like Carlos is a man to prove. After that race today, I'm super impressed. I feel like he's going to end up doing some real good things this season. The man to prove. So, tell me why I didn't take Perez. I don't know. I didn't think Perez would finish second today, if I'm being honest with you. So. I was trying to do something different. As I said. So, yeah. So that's terrible. After the first round, after qualifying, I'm like bottom of my league, but I set up and host. So, yeah, not great, guys.